Is it recording? It's recording, right? I see a little red mark right there. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's recording to the cloud.
All right, guys. Welcome to tonight's real estate webinar. I'm excited. About maybe 4 years ago, I did one of these, and there was about maybe 20, 30 people that showed up. And I know one of them was Mike McKay. And Mike went on a rampage buying real estate from just getting motivated from that and starting to put a game plan together. So my goal for you guys tonight is to educate you on everything I've learned and help you put a game plan together mentally so that you can start to acquire real estate. I bought my first, I'll give you a little bit of feedback from me. I bought my first, so what I basically did is I made my own first house a rental in 2008. Reason being, I was down and out, I was broke, and I was needing money. So I decided to move back with my mom, excuse me, a little under the weather still, move back with my mom and actually rent my property out. I remember thinking, wow, I couldn't believe I was making an extra $400 a month from my own property. I really didn't consider myself a landlord. It just kind of happened that I had to rent my place out. And then I remember thinking, well, if I could do this with my own house, imagine if I could start to actually get into the real estate game. So what I did was in 2010 or 11, maybe it was around the time I started network marketing. I don't remember the details, but I thought about buying a 2-unit. It was actually a 3-unit in Allentown, and I was going to pretend to live in one. Basically, I was going to maybe leave it vacant for 6 months, but as long as I was going to live in one, the bank would have gave me an FHA loan. So I was able to like put 3% down, buy this 3-unit, and actually make a profit. Unfortunately, I was new to real estate. The real estate agent I used, I wouldn't recommend him. But the property went into what's called a short sale. And I was told this after I spent $1,000 on the appraisal, and I ended up backing out. Most people, I think, would have got a bad taste in their mouth, but I'm going to be honest with you, that's the way it is. Things happen. A lot of times when we start a journey, we get something thrown at us, and unfortunately, most people take it as a sign to quit. I took it as a sign that, okay, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't the right time, it wasn't the right property, and there was a reason why I wasn't getting involved with that property. So fast forward a couple years later, I still wanted to be in real estate. Unfortunately, now at the time when I tried buying that property, I was able to kind of like say that I was self-employed. I was able to have pay stubs from my mom's salon because she was the owner. I was starting this hair salon, but it was not easy to get approved when you were trying to do real estate as an investor. So I started to make more money in my network marketing business, and I bought myself a house cash. Now, that's how I started. I bought my first house cash. Not everybody can do that. We're going to talk about different ways to make this happen. And what I did was I bought my first house cash. I bought a foreclosure. It was a condo. I bought it for like $80,000. And then I turned around a little later, and I took a HELOC loan, what's called a home equity line of credit. And I remember I got a loan for about $83,000. It was at my disposal. So now I had 2 years of good tax returns. I had a good credit score. So I went to the bank and said, hey, I want to be able to buy real estate. Can I get approved? They approved me. And then I used my line of credit to buy my first 5 units, actually probably my first 7 units. Then I took some equity out of my original home. I had equity in it. And that allowed me to actually then buy a few more. To make a long story short, banks started seeing that I had a success record with my rental properties. They started seeing the type of income I was making, and they started giving me lines of credit. Today, I can tell you that I barely ever use any of my own money. What I do is I get one bank to give me 80%, not letting them know, though, that I'm using lines of credit. They think in my bank, I have money. So if they ever look at my bank account, I have money in there. Or let's say I pull a line of credit 6 months earlier and I leave it in there. They usually don't go back that far for invoices for bank statements. But I definitely use 20% of the money for down money now all the time from either a HELOC, unsecured line of credit, whether it's in my name or my company's name, or I'll even use credit cards. Believe it or not, I'm up to $50,000. Let me see, about $50,000 to $60,000 in. I think I might actually have $80,000 now in credit card buying power, which means that credit cards give me blank checks that I can write to myself. And I only have to pay a 3% fee, and then I have 0 interest for 12 months or 1% interest for 18 months. So a lot of times what I do now is, now that I'm like having a lot more properties, I basically will borrow off those lines So I'll give you a perfect example. I just bought a Fief's dad's 2-unit in December. I borrowed $20,000 for the down money off of a credit card on that one. I rotate because I like the banks like to see that you're using the lines, right? They want to see you, like, I recommend, like, if you get a line of credit, take $5,000 out for like a month and a half and then put it back in. Even if you don't use it, they want to see you taking money from it, right? So they'll continue to give you more money and they'll continue to up your limits. So what I did was I took $20,000 off a line of credit to buy a Fief's dad's 2-unit. The bank gave me 80%. And now, since December, I've been dumping $2,000 to $3,000 on that bill from the cash flow coming in from all the property. So ideally, at the end of the day, by the end of this year, that $20,000 will be paid off. I will have the 20% down now will be equity that I have, right, that I got that's in the game without me putting any money out, okay? So we're going to talk about all that. My goal now is there really is no limit. As long as I keep having good tax returns and I keep increasing my rental incomes and life keeps going the way it's going, nothing's stopping me but me. I can now go out and keep buying properties. So I try to buy between 4 to 6 units a year. My goal originally was 20 units. I'm at 34. I sold 2 of them. So I'm at 34 now. I think I'm going to go to, my next goal was hit 40, and then I'll probably go to 50, and who knows if I'll keep going or not. At some point, I either have to shift gears with maybe a management company or something else. But my goal is to try to teach everybody how to do this. Fief owns 5 properties. He's done about maybe 20 flips. He's going to talk about his journey and how he did it. He did it very different, but he's also being very successful. So you're going to hear 2 different sides of what's going on. So let's take a look at some of the simple stuff first, and then we'll get into okay, so the question for you is, what direction do you want to go? This is an important question, guys. There's different ways you can get into real estate. You can get into the flipping game, which is what how a Fief got into it. You can do what I do and now what he does, which is buy and hold. You can get involved in what's called wholesaling. And you can also get involved in what's called REIT, or a real estate investment trust. Now, some of you, after listening to me, might want to go that route. This is usually people who maybe a lot of times are older, have either a 401 or IRA, or have some kind of disposable income, maybe an inheritance. They have something where they have money in the bank, but it's not making them any money. And they rather than trying to be a landlord and deal with tenants, they say, hey, you know what? I'll let you borrow money, or I'll let you buy property. So I'll give you an example. Like Steve Lloyd does a lot of these types of businesses where a lot of people come together and everybody's investing in the guy who's buying the property, and then he pays them a dividend every month. A lot of times it's 8 to 10%. So imagine right now when I'm borrowing off that line for, let's say right now I have a line for $25,000 with Santander. If I borrow that 25, if I borrow that $25,000 and pay it back in 12 months, it's going to cost me $2,500. Well, imagine if one of you said, hey, you know what? I'll give you $25,000 for 10% to somebody. And now you have, you're not only are you on the deed in case you don't get your money back, which you would be a lien holder, but you're guaranteed 8 to 10%, which is no bank or stock market is going to give that to you. So just keep in mind that most people that are wealthy in real estate are usually not the landlords. A lot of people are the ones that control real estate. Who controls real estate? Those who have the money in the game for those to buy the real estate. Okay, so that's the direction you want to decide. For me, it's buy and hold. I'll be honest with you, when I'm in my 50s, I'm probably going to do REIT. I'll probably lend out money. I'll probably lend out hard money. One of my friends just lended out $100,000 to somebody for 16% interest, and the guy took it, okay? There's guys that take it because there's no other way for them to get ahead. At the end of the day, like I told Steve yesterday, who cares what the interest rate is? If you're making money off of somebody letting you borrow money, it doesn't matter. Whether a bank charges me 10 or 15% for a line of credit, as long as when I'm flipping that money into whatever I'm doing, it covers all that and then some, I'm good. Because at the end of the day, I couldn't have done it without that money in the first place. So what direction do you want to go into? You're always going to need proof of income, at least 2 years, same source of income, right? You were talking about that, meaning like the same job, correct, or the same business. So not like multiple different jobs. This is now, again, if you need a loan. We're talking about if you need a loan. Credit scores, I've seen them as low as, now I've seen like residential homes as low as 580. I have somebody, but for investing, you're looking between 620, 720 credit score, 15 to 25% down. I usually only have to put 20% down. I know if you've seen some banks that do 15%.
Yeah, I have a lender that's down to 15%.
Down to 15%. A lot of people will do 5 units and over for 15%. I know some banks that do that. And then a low debt to income ratio. That's important also. This is why right now, Afif, is what are you doing to get this to work for you? Because your debt to income ratio is a little bit off right now, right?
Yeah, so my debt to income ratio is currently above 50 to 55%. And my loan officer told me, you have a personal loan you need to get rid of. As soon as you get rid of that, I could make everything happen for you. So I actually had to pay off one of my car loans to get my debt to income ratio down to about 41, 42%, for him to put me right there on the line and approve me and help me move forward with the investment property I'm looking to purchase in May.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you look at this slide, there's 4 things plus one more I want you guys to understand. So the checklist, okay? So do you know your direction? That's the first question. Do you have proof of income for 2 years? When I say proof of income, at least, my bank said at least like 20 grand a year. They want to see you make at least 20 grand a year. Then is your
With no debt.
With no debt.
Yeah.
The question then is, is your credit score in that range? Do you have 15 to 25% down? And do you have a 41 to 50% loan to debt ratio, income ratio? If you answer, if you're able to qualify for all these, there's nothing stopping you right now from just getting into real estate. If any of these are stopping you, then you need to, figure out, the number 1's easy. That's not going to stop you. Number 2, well, that can be fixed in 2 years, guaranteed, okay? Credit score can be fixed. As you know, a lot of you guys know I do credit repair, so that's definitely can be fixed. This is going to maybe take some creativity, making some additional income, and then this is going to take work. So this is not impossible, okay? This is very doable. Any questions on the page that we have here? And I'll always give about maybe 30 seconds for you guys to type a question. Again, you can ask it now, or you can, at the end, when I'll unmute everybody who wants to speak. And you guys are welcome to unmute yourself if you want to talk to me. I have the option here where you can unmute yourself, and then just please mute yourself back. So instead of having to type, you can always unmute yourself and ask me a question, and then just mute yourself again. So
if you want me to talk, I can unmute.
Okay.
So you don't have to keep.
Okay. All right. So we have, I think, a question up here. Let me see chat. What about a monthly annuity as proof of income? Well, I don't have a monthly annuity. Is that coming from what exactly? Can you be more specific? Like annuity as far as like insurance, as far as some kind of spousal income, or yeah, life insurance. Okay. So I think that would probably count if it's, so he had whole life insurance basically, or like, what are they called? Not whole life insurance, annuities. Yeah. What's his name? Sean does annuities. Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Yeah. I know what that is. So the question there is, would it count? So I honestly can't really say yes or no on that because I've never asked for a loan with that, but that's a question that we could definitely, get you answered, because I'm going to actually give you, Michelle, what area do you live in again? If you could type it. I'm going to give you, and it's funny talking about life insurance. Would you believe that I just, what's that? Oh, wow. That was the same question?
Well, I just asked him.
Oh, we're asking a loan officer right now. So let's see what he says. Yeah. So we actually have, yes, it continues for more than, yes, if it continues for more than 5 years, the loan officer said, yes, you can use that annuity. Okay. She's guaranteed for another 13, so you're good. Now, I also, if you live in Lehigh Valley, I have a loan officer on here that I'm going to give you guys access to. It's the guy who does all my loans, and you'll be able to ask him any questions directly too. So I'm glad we have somebody on standby from Florida.
Yep.
Yeah. When do you get an LLC? We'll talk about that when we get to the LLCs. We'll definitely just keep that thought there. Okay. That's coming up. So any questions on this slide though? Give you guys about 30 more seconds. Yeah. And Afif's typing some of the questions here that we got so we don't forget. All right. So that's pretty easy. Let's get to the next slide here. All right, so what happens if you have bad credit? Like what happens if you have really bad credit? Are your dreams out the window? The answer is no, okay? Afif, what do you think about starting with a rehab property?
So a rehab property, start with something that is priced very low for you to afford, so you have better buying power. And that's basically
They're going to have some cash though, access to some liquid.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So something that you can afford to get started with, but you don't have the buying power as far as like, let's say you don't, like you can find a house for 20, 30,000. Sometimes you can go to sheriff sales, and we're going to talk about those kind of things, but you can start with a rehab. And what that basically means is you can flip your way into it. So let's say you can afford, 40K, you find something for 30K. And it just needs, I don't know, a roof for 5,000. You go and you flip it for 65, and you flip your way into it, which you pretty much have done. Can you give us an example of like the first time you bought a property that was a cheap property? Is there one that you bought that was cheap that you flipped, easy flip, and made some money on it?
As far as cheap, it wasn't, and I had the help of my dad, and he had cash, thankfully.
Yeah.
It was right around $113,000 that needed almost nothing. We finished it in about 2 weeks. A little bit of paint, granite on the counters, etc. And we went ahead and sold it 3 weeks later for, I think it was $205.
How much did you spend on it?
Probably like 10 grand, not even.
Okay, so if you were able to maybe have somebody invest into a REIT, real estate investment trust with you, or you're able to borrow somehow on a home equity line of credit.
I actually borrowed from my friend some cash to get that flip and make more money on selling it and paid him back some interest.
So guys, that's one way, is by borrowing some cash, being able to do a flip like that with a rehab property, okay? Or we were talking about earlier is if you buy a rehab property or a cheap property and you wait 6 months, you can then go and refinance it, which we're going to talk about again, and you can make a lot of money do that. So find a co-signer. Let's say you have a friend, family member, somebody who trusts you trust, and that person can be willing to co-sign on the loan. That's another possibility. You can form a partnership. There's been times where I've thought about telling people, listen, I know you have bad credit, or I know you can't get a loan in your name. I'll tell you what, if you give me, I don't know, $25,000 for the down money, I'll buy a property with you. We'll use my buying power with the bank as far as my credit. I'll get the loan approved, and then we'll split that property. But you come in the game because you're putting 25K down, and I come in the game because I can get the loan. And then we split the profit. So there's things like that you can do. You can find a partner. Make sure you're careful with your partner, though, who kind of partner you have, okay? Partnerships sometimes are a nightmare. So get a second mortgage. What does that mean? I just took so I walked in the bank, to give you guys a little story here. I walked into the bank. I have a rental property with Key Bank. It's in West Coastville, Pennsylvania. It's my first one ever. It's my house. And I went in just to change the date of the auto draft. They were taking out the mortgage every month because for some reason they had it for the 15th. Every time there'd be a holiday, if it got taken on the 17th, the payment would go through, but I'll get this letter about like it was late. And every time I would call, I'm like, no, it wasn't late. It's automated. I say, well, I have enough mail. I don't want any more mail. So I'm going to come in and sign a paper, and I'm going to change the date to the 1st. So I went to the bank, changed the date for the rental property payment to the 1st. While I was in there, the guy goes, hey, do you want a HELOC loan? I'm like, I don't know. Do I want one? He said, well, why don't we check it out? My credit score was really high. I got 90%, listen to this, 90% loan to value because of my credit score being so high. And they gave me a HELOC loan, and I actually now have $40,000, $50,000 sitting in the bank account. And if I use it, I only pay like, I don't know what it was, like 5%. So that gives me buying power. That gives me the ability to buy $200,000 properties if I want. That's 4 units by using the power of having equity in my house, okay? Save a large down payment. That's another way. If you have bad credit and you have maybe, you could put 40% down on a house. Some banks will work with you. And again, if you have bad credit, invest in a real estate investing trust. Another thing, like I said to you guys, if somebody said to me, hey, George, listen, I want to make money with you. I'll give you $50K. You buy the property. And then I say, okay, well, I'll pay for the repairs and I'll have my crew do it. So that person pays for the property. That person gives me, let's say, $50K. I buy the property. I use my money and my crew, let's say, for the supplies. And then we split it when we sell it. So there's many ways you can get involved in real estate. You got to be creative. And if you have a big network or you're learning to meet people, a lot of you that I recognize on here, you're around people that make money. You're around successful people. You're around people that you can trust. So I would think that with bad credit, if you're creative, you're going to find a way to be successful. So any questions on the bad credit options? Okay, I'm going to give you guys like 30 seconds. So the last one here is one that I think in my 50s, I'll be more inclined to do. I don't think I'm going to want to, don't get me wrong, if I never bought any properties in my 50s, I still would. But no, being that I've already gotten so many, and I'll probably have 50 by the time I'm 47, probably gonna look into more like, being somebody who's out enjoying life and investing the money and making money on my money. So that's that. Let's take a look at the next slide. So what to remember. So this is where a lot of people get emotional, like, wow, it's in a bad neighborhood, or, it has only one bathroom, or this or that. And I don't understand why they're even saying that. Do you think Starbucks cares if they put a Starbucks in the worst neighborhood? Do you think McDonald's cares where they're putting McDonald's? At the end of the day, it's a business, guys. It's about making money. You're not going to live in those apartments. You're just buying a property and people are just renting space from you. Like, you just own land that somebody's renting from you. So I believe in having multiple different locations of properties. I'll tell you why. There's some properties where they're really expensive. They don't cash flow as much, but the equity in them and the appreciation is going to be huge 15, 20 years from when you go to sell. Then you have the properties that I have sometimes that are maybe in an alleyway, a bad neighborhood. Those properties might not have as much equity, but those properties cash flow really, really well. And the name of the game for me is, for me personally, because I have a good living, is cash flow. Why? Because cash flow creates more money for me to create velocity, for me to be moving quicker and have more money to invest. I like the bad neighborhood properties. I'll tell you why. Because if the economy crashes, the poor are always poor. It doesn't matter if the low income or the Section 8, the economy doesn't affect them. I'm going to tell you right now, if the economy crashes, the first thing that's going to happen to me is I'm going to lose the properties that are in the expensive neighborhoods that have middle-class jobs. And, Kendra got on here. Let me mute everybody. There we go. Okay. So think about that, okay? I sold a property today. That property there is a perfect example of a property that no matter what happens in the economy, that property should cash flow, especially because it's a neighborhood where you can definitely get Section 8. We'll talk about Section 8. And with the Section 8 voucher right now, you're looking at, I'm getting between $1,100 and $1,200 for 3 bedrooms, guaranteed rent, right? So do your research on the economics. Like, the property that I just bought today is actually 5 blocks from the PPNL. The property that I sold today is actually 5 blocks away from the PPNL center, which means that area is getting built up. That area is, let me just minimize this. That area is getting built up. There's some new stuff going on there. There's more businesses thriving. You have to look at, what's going to be going on in the area, right? Like, what kind of highways, what kind of business, is there going to be construction? Are people moving into the area? People. So you want to also be aware of the economics of a place. Right now, Allentown's hot. The taxes are low. It's being built up. Easton's hot right now. It's being built up. Or hire a real estate agent. But make sure if you hire a real estate agent, it's somebody, in my opinion, who is not only a real estate agent, but is an investor. They own properties. I personally would not want to use an agent who doesn't have real estate properties, because it's a different ballgame. Would you agree with that?
I highly agree with that. And I'm not saying this because I'm a real estate agent. I'm saying this because if you get somebody that got their feet wet with the investment, they're going to lead you down the right path. If you get somebody that's just an agent, they're working for a commission. And you got to understand, they want that deal to go through no matter what. No matter if they have to, how do I want to say this, tell you the lie truth about a good neighborhood, let's say if it's not a good neighborhood, or about the school district or whatever it is. They're trying to just make that commission. And there are probably 90% honest real estate agents out there. I'm not saying, I'm not downing on any agent specifically. I'm just saying in general, a real estate agent that has been investing for a while is going to lead you down the right path. And also ask them, look at their portfolio, see how their things are doing. And that will lead you to better success doing this investment. Yeah, and also he knows a lot of agents with no skin in the game. Robert Kiyosaki said they're called real estate brokers for a reason, because they're broker than you. All right? So sorry if you're a broker on here, and I'm just saying what Robert Kiyosaki said. All right, guys, so secure that down payment. Remember, my bank makes me put 20% down. Afif knows some places that will actually charge you PMI even for an investment property. My bank won't even do that. So getting that 15 to 20% down is important, because either you're going to definitely need that, or you're going to have PMI if a bank allows you to have less than that.
Calculate the numbers, really important. You have to ask yourself, what is your bottom dollar? So for me, the magic number is I like to make at least $300 per door after all expenses are paid. And there's the net income left is at least $300 per door. Now I have some that pay me $400 or $500. I got one right now that's paying me $490. The lowest I'll go is, and I don't like to go that low, is $200 per door. Anything less, I won't buy it. Maybe in the future, I told the thief I would do it. Maybe after I have maybe after I'm cash flowing with 40 properties, maybe I'll buy a few where maybe I almost break even because they're going to be 8 neighborhoods and they're going to be appraising down the road. But what the key? I'll give you an example. There's a property I bought in Easton last year. It's only cash flowing $200 per unit. The reason why I bought it is 1, it's in a great neighborhood. 2, the property is very nice. And 3, currently, the tenants that are there now, currently, the rent is under market value by at least $1 to $150 per unit. Plus, they're not getting charged for the water and they're not getting charged for the sewer and garbage. So right there, I realized, wow, when they move out, that cash flow is going to go from $200 a month to probably $350 a month, maybe even $400. So I was looking down the road. Even the one I bought today, the 5 unit, I'm only cash flowing like $250 per unit. All the rents are going up though in June. That'll take me to $300. And then when they eventually move, the rents are going to go up $100 even more than what I'm charging now. So a lot of room for growth. When there's no room for growth, that's a tough one for me because I'm still in the game of the cash flow, okay? Select a low-cost home first-time buyer. So that's what I did. Like for example, the property that I sold today, I was able to buy that property with $8,000 down. $8,000 down because it was not an expensive property. So it was easy access. And I remember thinking, I'm not going to have this property forever. Maybe one day I'll sell all the little ones and then I'll so for example, today I sold that one and I have enough money now to buy a 3 unit with that money for down payment. I didn't have that kind of money at the time, let's say, to buy that 3 unit, but because I invested in a low startup cost home and I held it for 5 years and the market got better and I was able to make a nice profit and I'll be able to flip my way into more stuff. So very important, clear all your debts. I will tell you, when you hear stories of real estate investors who went bankrupt or lost this, a lot of times they're going through divorce, medical stuff, but a lot of times it's because they have too much debt. They have too much personal debt. I don't advise you getting into real estate if you have a Porsche payment and you have really, spending lifestyle, a lot of credit card debts. First of all, you might not even get approved because that's a ratio, but you got to make sure that, your life's in order. If your life's in order and you're not on the cusp of, paycheck to paycheck, you'll be okay. Loan options. I love lines of credit. How do you get lines of credit? Basically having a company for 2 years or having income that's sustainable for 2 years, and you walk into your bank and you say, hey, I'd like to apply for an unsecured line of credit. They'll usually give you 10 to 20% of your income. So even if you make $50,000 a year, they'll probably give you 5 to 10 grand line of credit. There's your first apartment right there, your first single unit. Okay, and I have a fee here, and if you live in the Lehigh Valley area, or if you don't, you want to invest in Lehigh Valley, you can reach out to a thief. A thief's an investor. He gets a lot of private deals. He gets a lot of listings. He can find you how much cheap as $30,000, $40,000. You know what I mean? So today, Angel, who's on the webinar, he bought a house for me in Allentown. He lives in Jersey. Why? Because the taxes are $1,200. What were the taxes? $1,200?
Yeah.
I mean,
1094.
I mean, it's ridiculous. The taxes are so low, and Allentown's being built up. And true investors don't have to live in the area that the house is at. I chose to. I'll tell you why I chose to. Because I have so many companies that I'm working on right now, and so many properties. But there's nothing stopping me from buying a property in another area that's a good deal. I'm just fortunate enough that there's great deals in my area. See, Jersey is not the best market where he lives for homes. I see how they're expensive. The taxes are insane.
It's triple as much.
It's triple. It's triple. So, if you find an area like Lehigh Valley and you don't live around here, you still invest in it. And you find somebody that you can trust. Like, buying a house off of me today was easy because I'm a person that keeps my word and I help people. And so, guys, clear all your debts, lines of credit, and then be careful choosing your partner. I'm going to tell you right now, a partner could be the best thing ever because if you're on the same page, or it could be the worst thing ever. So let me know if you have any questions about this slide. I'll see here. While you guys are asking questions, let me go to the next slide. I'll just get it started. Is your bank a local bank? Yeah, so Michelle, I actually use ESS Bank and Trust, and here's actually all the info of everybody I use. You guys might want to take a screenshot of this. Okay, so my loan officer is Barry Reifinger, and he is with ESS Bank. Actually, Afif's going to be using him. He's actually working on a deal right now with him, right, to get it approved or something like that.
Yep.
He's really good. ESSA has a lot of what I call, they're not like a traditional bank. They really cater to real estate investors.
Yeah.
BB&T would have never, ever given me more than one loan for somebody's asking a question. Let me see the webinar. I signed up. Link. Okay, I sent her the link. She didn't get the link. I sent it to her on Facebook. Let me just give the link. Can you put it in here for me? Right. Actually, give me guys a second. You want to talk about Barry and the ESSA and what do you think about them? Because they're not a traditional bank. BB&T would never give me real estate loans.
Correct. So when I started investment, my accountant told me to start an LLC. So I did. And then I did my first home, second home, third home. I put them in my LLC's name. And then I got my fourth home after my fourth flip. And now I'm trying to get, I'm kind of at like 4.5. So I'm trying to roll my way into 5 and I can't. I'm stuck. Why? Because I ran out of money. I'm doing it in a different approach. So I'm buying everything in cash. So I go to pull money out of my LLC, my properties that are under my LLC, and I can't. So my local bank is not allowing me to pull money because I have them in an LLC. And that's where ESSA Bank comes in. ESSA Bank will actually fund it. They're okay with lending to LLCs, and that's why I had to get connected with Barry. And I actually seen him today and spoke to him, and he got my email. So I'm going to be able to pull loans out on the properties that are under my LLC, thanks to Barry at ESSA. Otherwise, I couldn't do it through my local bank.
Okay, perfect. So I like the ESSA. Like I said, they even do portfolio loans that are special. Like, for example, let's say you buy 3 properties in one day and you want to lump them all into one loan, and you can actually, like for example, for today, the house that I sold was in a portfolio, was in a blanket. It was called a blanket loan. I had to actually remove it from the blanket, which they allowed me to do. This is my accountant. He helps me set up my LLCs, which you can do yourself. Angel actually did it online. It was really, really easy to do yourself. Get your tax ID and get your LLC paperwork. I think the state fees around $140, $160 to do that. I like Kim over at ababstract. That's her email there. I really emails are there. If you like your title company too, right? Who do you use?
Advanced Abstract Incorporated.
Uses Advanced. Is he Syrian?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but I like Kim. They're really easy to work with.
I love Kim, and I don't even know her.
Yeah. Oh, you like Kim?
Yeah, she's phenomenal. The way she responds, her emails, professionalism, the way she prepares the HUD.
Yeah.
I kind of like her more than my title company.
Yeah. So Kim's on top of it, and that's why I use her. She's, a lot of really successful people use Kim at ababstract.com. That's for your title insurance. We definitely recommend title insurance. You definitely don't want to buy a house without title insurance.
Don't get in this game.
Unless you're buying it from your mom, okay? And even then, I don't know if I trust my mom. No, I'm just kidding. My State Farm representative is Sean Lehman. You can see here, Sean Lay, and he's with State Farm. I've shopped around. State Farm has the best rates for rental properties. Erie was cheaper for my house, but for rentals, State Farm has a much better rate, and they pay out. I had a fire. I was covered. Make sure you get vandalism insurance by your tenants. By the way, make sure that's on your policy. If your tenants vandalize your place, very important. The situation right now, a lady had $56,000 in tenant damages. She's not getting compensated. She signed up for rent. She realized she didn't have vandalism insurance when the toilet was overflown. Called whoever it is, not State Farm. Called the insurance company, added it. They're trying to say now she didn't add it. Mine's automatically on there, but just double check that you have vandalism insurance and double check that you have renters and what do you call it? Loss of business. They call it interruption insurance. That's for a fire. If I didn't have that, guys, I would have been screwed. My fire took me 16 months to rebuild the property. And I got rent for 11 of those 16 months, but I lost $10,000 in rent. I would have lost $30,000 in rent if I didn't have interruption business insurance, which is for a fire, and they pay you rent for 10 months. Okay. And then Afif is obviously my real estate agent. Title insurance is key. You want to touch on that? There you go. He's going to get into that for us.
So title insurance. Here's why title insurance is key. And I'm glad George is doing this today. About a few months ago, I had a guy who listed a property with me and is basically want to sell it. So we got a buyer right there the first week. Buyer sends the agreement of sale to title company, which was Weicker at the time. About 3 to 4 weeks into the deal, Weicker calls me up and says, your title is bad. We cannot issue insurance on this title. So I asked him what the problem was, and it turns out there was about a chain of 4 or 5 prior deeds that had a problem, and it continued on. So I went back to my seller and I asked him, hey, do you have any idea what's going on? So he kind of gave me a backstory. So he made a mistake. What happens is, in the state of Pennsylvania, if you transfer a property, you can legally do it 2 ways. 1, through a title company by purchasing title insurance, and number 2, through a real estate attorney that can legally prepare a deed for you. What my guy did, he didn't know this. So what my guy did, he actually had a notary prepare the deed. The first notary screwed up the dates. The second notary notarized some illegal documents. And the third notary, again, screwed up the dates. So now he's paying over $20,000 to a real estate attorney, and it's going to take him a year to 2 years to solve this problem. All this could have been solved if he bought a $600 title insurance policy from the get. So that is why I highly, highly, highly recommend title insurance.
Yeah, I agree. You're covered, and you get if something comes up bad, you get paid. So it's paid. Lawyer, I've been very lucky. I've been able to do a lot of stuff in-house with other real estate investors helping me with advice, and also my accountant who's been doing the LLCs and stuff. But if you need somebody in Pennsylvania, I hear the word North Penn Legal Services. Every time I go to a real estate seminar in Lehigh Valley, I hear that the name North Penn Legal Services. It comes up a lot. So that's one I can recommend to you. Make sure you have a dependable crew. You're not going to have that right away. Let me tell you, the first 2 years, I didn't have a dependable crew. I remember my first drug raid, and they broke down the door and the window, and I had no idea who installs windows and doors. I had no idea when the guy had bed bugs in the one apartment, who was going to take care of the bed bugs. I didn't even have somebody I got one person moved out and left me with so much junk. I had no idea. I call it 1-800-JUNK. I mean, I didn't have a team, guys. And I remember thinking, wow, like, I'm so motivated. I love doing this, but this is really tough because without a team, I'm kind of like left thinking, like, what am I going to do? And it was a scary feeling, but I got through it. And the second drug raid was easy, okay? Let's see, what is you have logged in from another device. Messenger is now active. I'm not sure what that means. I wonder if Eric's trying to get on. So dependable crew, management company, that's up to you. I personally feel like I'm too young in the game. I don't want to give up 8 to 10% of my profit. Plus, my tenants never want to leave because of me. A management company, I probably have a more turnover rate, but at some point you have to ask yourself, what do you want out of this? Do you want a second job? Sometimes it can be a second job. Do you not care about the 10%? Are you looking for wealth down the road? So what do you think about a management company? What's your opinion on that, Afif?
Yeah, like George said, I wouldn't think about management company until you literally cannot handle it yourself. Like George is a great guy, so he builds rapport with his tenants, and I'm sure 90% of his tenants love him for that, and that's why they're his tenants. They actually reach out to him to be, if let's say George is selling a property, he'll actually tell them, listen, I'm purchasing something and I might have an availability this summer, this winter coming, and they'd love to relocate. So a management company is not going to take care of the tenants as much. They see it as a transaction, a business deal. So, but again, I don't want to down management companies. You're going to get to a level where you're going to need a management company. I mean, if you start now and you're 30 years old and you build up to 50 properties, let's say 5 a year times 10 years, and you're about 40, 45 years old and you have 50 properties, you got to ask yourself, do you want to start living life and hire a management company or do you want to keep continuing working until you're 65, 70? The whole point of this is another way out of it. And I highly recommend management companies as soon as you get to that level.
I'll give you an example. Mike Fody, you guys know who that is. He doesn't like to be the landlord. He only has management companies. And that's how he does it. So it depends on your personality. I think at some point in my life, I would probably give the problem kids away. I have some tenants, guys, literally, they call me once a year. That's it. Every single year, once a year. They must either handle everything themselves or they just, they kind of take the house as it's theirs and they take care of stuff. They're the easy ones, but the ones that are texting you at 9 o'clock that the tenant downstairs is making noise and this and that, you might want to give those to a management company. Or the ones that maybe aren't paying their rent on time and you don't want to be the bad guy. So make sure you have a good support system. I think it's really important that your spouse or anybody that you're dating or involved with, your circle of influence, that these people actually support what you do. A lot of us are pretty much motivated, positive people on here, but if you don't have a strong support system, it's going to be tough. Because there's going to be times where, you know, I'm in the car with Monica. We're going to pick up rent on the way to dinner. If I decide to pick up rent that night, we have situations where, you know, the phone might ring at 11 o'clock at night. She's not complaining like, hey, you know, why is this tenant calling you so late? So that's important to have a support system. So any questions up until this point?
I think Michelle has one. Let's see here.
Can you send Mike Foti to me for any problems with South Texas? I don't know if Mike's a public adjuster in Texas. I think he's just Jersey and Pennsylvania. But yeah, Mike got me a big settlement, so I'm pretty excited. So why real estate? Well, for one, they're not making any more land, and that's my favorite one, okay? We're looking at the millennials right now, guys, people that were born between 1981 and 1996. And what you're going to see there is it's the largest group right now of human beings, basically. And they're not buying houses. A lot of them have either crazy college debt or living at home or renting. They're not. They're renters. There's a baby boomer imbalance. Let me see who's causing that now. Uh-oh. Fortunately, when people get on sometimes, they're not muted. So that's it. Somebody knew that got on there. Who was that?
She unmuted again. Kendra.
Kendra, can you try to stay muted on, please? Thank you. All right. So I should probably just do it by accident. There's a lot of buttons there. No big deal. So there's a baby boomer imbalance. So there's a lot of baby boomers. There's like 10,000 baby boomers retiring a month. Here's what's happening with baby boomers. So there's a lot of people. Did it again. Let me mute everybody and not allow you guys to unmute yourself. Sorry, you guys are all detention now because of Kendra. Thank Kendra. She put you in detention. All right. So couple things are happening. Some of them are downsizing to smaller homes, which is leaving a lot of big homes available. Some of them are moving into retirement homes. Some of them are passing away. So right now, guys, it's a renter's nation. There's 110 million renters out of 331 million Americans. About 36% of the country is renters. Okay, and renters nation is where I read that. 90% of millionaires are created through real estate. That's where wealth is created. That's where generational wealth is created. You know, I unfortunately didn't have generational wealth. Afif is kind of a first generation product of it, meaning his dad is successful in real estate, helping his son. If his dad would have passed away one day, Afif and his brother and his family would get all this real estate and all this asset. And then he's going to continue to do the same thing his dad's doing, which is guaranteeing his kids one day a really good life. So it's a generational wealth. It's a high tangible asset. And Afif, we talked about that last week. It's always worth something. If the stock market crashes, technically, say it's worth zero. I mean, my one broker friend said that's impossible. He said if the stock market crashes and it's worth zero, then real estate's worth zero because people aren't going to be getting paid and having jobs. I said, no. People on Section 8, it has nothing to do with that. People on low income, it doesn't affect them. So real estate's always worth something where stocks can go down to zero. Okay, and real estate values, for the most part, always increase. Even all the time. Yeah. Even like in the market where they decrease, though, for a couple of years, they still eventually go back down.
Back to even more.
Yeah. So do you have any questions on this chart here? We're still getting into like just the basics of knowledge, guys, before we get into some other stuff here. This stuff is very important, though. You gotta have a blueprint of what you're gonna do. Okay, so no questions. Eric's like, it wasn't me. You see him? It wasn't my login. All right. So this is an argument I have with people that are into flipping, and I'm not going to argue with Afif right now because, well, when people say to me, why do you like buying and holding over flipping? Because I consider real estate a for-wealth system. I don't know any other job, business that I own that can give you 4 systems of wealth. And what does that mean? That means, number one, you're making money every month. You're making cash flow. Number 2, you have tax breaks, depreciation, right? You have all these tax benefits. That's money in your pocket, guys. Your mortgage is being paid down by somebody else. It's not you. That's more money in your pocket. Because why? Because the mortgage is being paid down, is creating equity. Okay? And I think the fourth one is equity / appreciation. So how do you create appreciation or equity? Basically by either forcing it, which means improving the property, or through time. So I don't know any other business model that pays you for system wealth. And I love it because of that reason, because I feel like I'm, in every angle of the sense of being part of this, I'm making a profit. Do you have anything you want to add to this, or versus, do you feel that, would you agree that flipping homes is more of like fast cash and then you pay capital gains tax? It's not really a system of wealth. It's not duplicatable as easy.
Right. Here's why. Because flipping homes, as soon as you sell that home, guess what? You're out of a job. Now you got to look for another job.
Yep.
So I respect you on that, and I agree with that.
Yeah. But it's a good way for people that want to make quick money and start.
And
right?
that's what I did.
I still get wealthy off of it.
Yeah. What I did was pull $100,000 equity on my first home and just use that flip. I made like, let's say 30, 40K profit. And that was actually my first rental. I bought it for 40,000 fixed up and everything. So, renting is the way to go long-term, obviously.
Yep.
And then flipping, if you want to make quick cash, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell.
Yep. And I'm going to talk to you guys about a couple different techniques. 5 controls of real estate. This is my favorite thing. If you're a control freak like me,
6.
Oh, 6. There's 6 on here now? Oh, we added another one. There we go. We put 5. We added a 6th one. So guys, why do I like real estate? Because I like to control things. So number 1, you can control what property you're going to, sometimes when we have a job, we can't control the location of where that job is. Sometimes the job puts us in an area we don't want to live. Maybe we don't want the school for our kids and it's all we can afford. But real estate, you determine where you're going to invest. You have 100% control of where you want that house to be. You want to have it in Lehigh County or Hampton County? That's up to you. You control the rental rates. It's up to you how much money you want to make. It's not up to anybody else. You're the boss. You control the tenant selection. How much better can it get? You have control of everything. You control the expenses. Like, well, do I want to put in granite when that countertop cracks, or do I want to put in Formica? You also control the cash flow, that money that comes in and what you're going to do with it. And more importantly, today, you're going to control the financial destiny, your financial destiny, guys, of where you're going to be in 15, 20 years from now, okay? And that's really the key to this success, where you're going to be in 15, 20 years from now through real estate. I can tell you right now, even if you have 1 rental property, you're way ahead of the majority of the population. You're still going to have some kind of wealth in your life, okay? So let me go to the next slide here. See if you guys have any questions on this.
I don't see their chat. That's weird.
Which chat?
That's fine, I guess. Oh, nothing.
No questions yet. Okay.
Make sure you ask questions. This is for
and
you
again,
guys.
At the end, well, this is kind of easy stuff. At the end, you guys, I'll unmute you guys, and you guys can basically ask away, okay? This thing here, I can't get rid of it. There we go. All right, next slide. All right, it's a good question. People always ask, should you put an LLC? All right, so let's start with if you don't put an LLC. If you don't put an LLC, you definitely have to have an umbrella policy. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Let's talk about, you want to talk about that?
So umbrella policies, I actually spoke to my State Farm agent about that. I believe up to 4 units, it has to be a personal policy, and then 4 and above, I think it's commercial policy. So that protects you from being sued. And then they usually tell me up to 4, $1 million to $2 million is okay. And then every 5, just add another $2 million to it. As far as LLC, it never happened to me. I'm still new in the game. I only have 5 rental properties, never been sued. Knock on wood. I hope I never get sued. I don't see any reason why. But as LLCs goes, that's a whole different entity. That's a whole different, what is it, EIN number?
Yeah.
That's a whole different.
It's a different human being that owns a company.
Correct. So they would have to sue them, and then all your personal assets are protected. So if you have, some people make an LLC for each single home they own.
Yeah.
So let's say property 1, and let's name it ABC LLC. And if they sue that, and then you go bankrupt in that LLC, and then what do you do? You only lost 1 home. You didn't lose your $400,000 residential home that you live in yourself.
Correct.
So that's some.
Now, the ups, I think, are And there's some tax stuff in certain states. There's like, sometimes you can still file as an S Corp, or sometimes there's like one tax you don't got to pay. And so your accountant might want to set that up the best for you as far as LLC, S Corp and stuff like that. But guys, the biggest reason for me was number one, asset protection. Number two, I don't want people also knowing who I am. They're right there, private. I don't want people knowing my name. My tenants do not know my last name. They don't know who I am unless I'm friends with them. Also, when I get unsecured lines of credit, I noticed from my network marketing business that when I got I got two unsecured lines of credit. The one that was on the LLC was a better rate than the one that wasn't, much better rate. I also have an imaginary partner. I always have an imaginary partner. What does that mean? I always say there's an investor that's involved with me. You're not going to meet them. That person just puts in the money and is on the back end, and I do the tenant end. So this always allows me to be the good guy and my imaginary partner be the bad guy, which is the LLC. My invisible partner is the LLC. A lot of banks will not let you cash out after 4 homes. So what does that mean? That means that if you put 4 houses in your name, you put 1, 2, 3, 4 houses in your name as John Smith. If you buy a 5th house, let's say you buy it for 50 grand, but it's worth 130, you got a steal of a deal. Most traditional banks will not let you cash out, which means they will not let you take the equity out of that 5th house. And you can read about that online. I was showing a feed because he was surprised about that. And this has to do with all the laws and all the things that happened back when the market crashed. So keep that in mind. If you're going to go with your name, be careful what bank you use. Make sure that they'll allow you to cash out after 4 if you need to. And also, most banks will stop you at 10 houses, meaning they're not going to allow you to put any more houses in your name after 10. So I didn't want to be limited to anything, so I put it into an LLC. Now, the only downside to an LLC that I can think of off the hand is that your interest rate is slightly higher because it's a commercial loan. Even though it's not a commercial building, it's considered a commercial loan, and your interest rate's slightly higher. But you know what? For all the benefits that you get from being an LLC, which my favorite, again, are the ones the first 3, the first 4 actually are the greatest. It's worth the extra 1% or whatever that I'm not paying anyway. My tenants are 0.5%. Yeah. It's really small, okay? So I definitely, if you're going to be interested in real estate, definitely get an LLC. My advice to you but I'm not a lawyer, so I'm just telling you my opinion, and get it set up. For $140 plus whatever fee, LegalZoom can do it, your lawyer, your accountant, you can do it yourself. Go on the website that Angel did his. And you can basically at least have it ready. That's one step closer to your dreams, okay? Eric and I had started the LLC for the clothing brand before we even had a clothing brand, okay? 3 weeks before we even started it, I was like, let's get it started, man. If we're going to do this, we're not waiting. We're going to start the business now, and we're going to go from there, okay? Here's the next slide. Let's talk about this, and I'll see if you guys have any questions. So the structure is this. You create the LLC, okay? Now, you get a loan from the bank to go buy a house. Let's say you fix a home. You have 2 different types of loans. One is going to be a loan where you buy the house and it's a straight turnkey house. There's tenants already, or there's no tenants, but the house is ready to be rented. Or you buy one where you get a loan where you can also not only buy it, but you can get a loan. I don't know if it was like a loan 235. I forget the name of it. It's
to fix the home?
Yeah.
203K.
A 203K, guys. So write that down, 203K. Those are loans where you can actually, some banks will give you loans to allow you to have enough money to also fix the house. So now let's say you go with that aspect, right? Now, once the property is completed, your conventional lender will come to refinance the loan. Your conventional lender then refinances you into a new loan and cuts a check to you for 75% loan to value. So, Afif, you just did this, didn't you, recently? Or we were talking about a perfect example of something. You remember, was it that you flipped it, waited 6 months, or you haven't done that yet?
Oh, yeah. I'm in the middle process.
So talk about the process you're doing right now.
So I bought a home. I bought a 2-unit and a garage in Bethlehem across the Sands Casino on November 2nd, 2018. So on that day, I called my lender and I said, hey, I just bought a home. It's my personal name. This is my private lender. It's my personal name, and I bought it in my personal name. I got an umbrella insurance policy. I'd like to pull a loan out on it. And I put in my personal name because I knew I was going to call you to pull a loan out on it. He said, we have to wait 6 months. And I said, why? He said, how much did you buy it for? And I said, around $72,000. And he asked me, how much you think it's worth? I said, right around $125,000. So he was like, listen, so when you want to cash out, I can only give you up to 75% of the value. So since you bought it for $72,000, I can give you up to 75% of that if you want it right now. So if you do the math, that'll come out to about $54,000 if you want to do it right now. Or if you wait 6 months, let us come out and appraise the property, and let's say it appraises it at $125,000, then we can give you up to 75% of that, which is right around $94,000.
We have some questions. Let's see, we got 5 questions. Okay, let me start from the top here. So do you get an LLC for flipping and one to buy and hold? So I actually do. I actually have an LLC for flipping, guys. It's it's called GK Investment Properties 3. I've never used it though.
Really?
Yep. I file every year, but I've never used it. So yeah, so I definitely have one of those. I learned how to do it on LLCuniversity.com. Just pick your state. Okay, awesome. You sent me another link too though, right, Angel? Wasn't it like some, I have it somewhere saved here, .gov or something. I sent it to my mom to do it. It was a different website. I understand that there are states that are better to get your LLC. Yes, it's a PA link. Okay, so he did one for the PA link. Yeah, so go to that website, and that's where you can figure out what you need to get your LLC. I mean, there are some states that have different tax laws, like Delaware. I know, like a lot of network marketing companies are from Utah for a reason. I know Angel's accountant told him that he would be better off filing an LLC in the state that he bought the apartment in. I don't know if he knows why specifically, if he learned that or that was just the advice, but he actually formed a Pennsylvania LLC to buy the, you asking a question here?
No, go ahead. No.
To get the LLC. So in the same state. So that's a good question. Okay.
I think that answers JJR.
What was this question?
About when do you get an LLC?
Oh yes, JJ, when you get an LLC. I mean, it's up to you, but I mean, you're probably going to have to file every year though to keep it active, $100 a year. I think it's $100 to keep it active. So even if you don't use it, it's not a big deal. But I mean, I personally would do it when you're thinking of getting a real estate. So it's ready to go. So that when you go to the bank,
when you get under agreement, you can get one. That's what Angel did.
Yeah. I mean, Angel did it when he went under agreement. It was fast. I mean, he literally had it he went under agreement and he had it within 10 days. So it's up to you. Okay. There's no right answer to that, just how you feel. Okay. So process. All right. Here's a process that I deal with a lot. So first thing is they're going to check your credit score. Then they want to see your tax returns. Then they want to see your debt to income ratio. Really simple. We want that through the beginning of the thing. That's the first step. Once all that happens, if everything looks good, you'll get what's called a pre-approval letter. Now, in the beginning, I had to do all these things. I'm going to be honest with you. Now I do nothing. I call my banker and I say, look, I need a pre-approval letter. They give them to me now with nothing. They don't check my bank account. They don't check anything, but they will ask me sometimes for a few things after the pre-approval letter. So they trust enough now. They know me well enough. They know that I have the funds to make it happen. But they're still going to check here and there. But they don't got to check prior because I'm already approved from before. Pre-approval letter is what you want to give to the agent to submit or the private deal so that person knows that you're serious and that you have the buying power. So once you get a pre-approval letter, that's when I recommend to go shopping. You can do the other way around, but I like to just have everything ready to go knowing that I can go out there and shop. I don't want to go out there and try to shop for things and then, I didn't get approved. So always just try to get approved. It usually lasts for 3 to 6 months, depending on the bank.
And you keep renewing it.
And you keep renewing it, okay? Find the property. Now, a lot of people talk about, okay, listen, if you are happy with $300 a door, then that's your method. That's pretty much my method. But there's also other things people talk about, cap rate, cash on cash formula. Now, we're going to talk about both of them going into this. Just keep in mind, the cap rate only really is, when you see cap rate 12%, cap rate 10%, that honestly is only, if you buy cash, what's the word on those? It's only appropriate to use when you're buying the property cash.
Right.
It's not, that formula is not set up for you to have a mortgage. So don't let these people that write this stuff confuse you. You're gonna be like, oh wow, cap rate. No, that's only if you're buying in cash. If you're getting a mortgage, you want to use the cash on cash formula. And we'll talk about each of them, but I'll tell you what the cash on cash is right there. It shows you, yes, cash flow divided by initial cost. So I'll give you an example of a property I had on 9th Street. You have a calculator on you there?
Yes.
I bought a property on 9th Street. Down money, closing and rehab a little bit cost me $13,000. That's the initial cost. That's what is divided. The cash flow for the year, though, was $4,500. Oh, we have it right there, $4,500. 36%. My money is making me 36%. This is why my friend who does annuities told me, dude, I don't want to take your money. I can only make you 4% on annuities. Take your money and keep doing what you're doing because I can't touch 36%. I got a house in Allentown for like $35K. Taxes were $900 a year. The rent was $800 a month. And it was a steal of a deal, okay? And the cash on cash flow works great. I don't know if Angel used the cash on cash flow, but I'm sure if he does, well, he bought it cash, so
he's doing cap rate.
He's gonna do cap rate. Yeah, cap rate. Okay. So inspections, negotiate with the agent. So what do you negotiate? I always do no inspections. I have more buying power. Now, a lot of people want to pay for inspectors. I obviously I look at that foundation, I look at the roof, I look at the furnace, the plumbing, and the electrical. If I don't see any termite bites or anything weird, but I don't get inspections because if I don't get it, think about this. If you were selling your house right now and I offered you $50K with no inspections, somebody offered you $52K with inspections, believe it or not, you have a perfect example? Here, give us that example.
So I just listed a house on, if you are familiar with Rehab Valley, right on Fullerton Avenue. Within 3 days, we had over 6 offers. And so I sat down with the seller and I said, listen, we got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we spoke about it. Actually, the offer that won and he selected was the one without any inspections. And it was actually less. So when you put an offer in, that's why you need a real estate agent. Some people may not know this. When you put an offer in, it's not about the amount of offer you're putting in. There's also terms to it. It's 14 pages long for a reason. So we're talking about the price of the house. We're talking about financing too. Are you paying cash? Are you getting conventional? Are you getting FHA? And then also we're talking about inspections. And how about closing time? Do you want to close in a month? Do you want to close in 21 days? Do you want to close in 2 months? People look at that. So what George does is he likes to give the seller the perfect world. So he does a conventional loan, 20% down, and he's already pre-approved and through underwriting. That says a lot. And then number 2, he does no inspections. So what that means, the seller does not have to worry about George hiring a private inspector, paying around $500, inspecting the home, finding something wrong with it, and then George backs out of the deal and wastes this guy's, 2 or 3 weeks. So he usually sets up the seller for the best, case scenario. So let's say somebody's asking $200,000 for a property and they get 2 offers. Offer number 1 is $200,000 with a FHA loan with inspections, and offer 2, $190,000 with a conventional loan, 20% down through underwriting, no inspections. 9 out of 10 people take the $190,000, and they lose out on that 10, but they secure closing in about a month. And that's 90% of people go with that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that I do have 2 contingencies that I always do. One is that it must appraise, which obviously if it doesn't appraise,
that automatically comes to finance.
Yeah, the finance is going to, so I always say mortgage contingency. I always check it off, right?
Yep.
Meaning that it has to appraise, it has to be approved. So if for some reason I don't get approved, I don't lose my money. I don't lose my down money. The other one I have is because it happened to me once and it probably would never happen again, but I went to buy this house and everything was set, guys. And it was not the flood insurance. It was the property insurance. The property. So I waived all the inspections and I waived the property insurance one to find out the lady had a claim, an open claim. And I didn't know that. So when I'm going to close, the insurance company's like, we can't insure this house. I'm like, what do you mean you can't insure this house? Like, well, she has an open claim. Long story short, it got worked out before closing, but now I always check that box so that if they have an open claim, I can back out without losing my money. The other thing I do is I immediately, when I find a property and I know the contract's been about to be submitted or at submission, I always send the property right to my State Farm agent immediately. He's the first one to get it because I'll tell you why, for 2 reasons. One, I want him to come back to me and say, hey, it can't be insured or it needs flood insurance. Or two is because the bank always asks me for insurance proof with their name on it as the mortgage holder, lien holder. So it's a habit now. The first day I find a property and I send in the offer and it gets approved, before I even get the sale of agreement, I already email my State Farm rep, hey, do me a favor, I'm buying this house. Send me a addenda, it's called a declaration page. The State Farm agent sends me the declaration page, and then I send it to my banker with their name on it because they want to see that anyway. Okay.
We have a question.
And then make sure you get it under contract. Okay, guys. So what's the question? Isn't there a bigger risk with no inspections? What do you think about that, Afif? I've never had an issue, but
the answer is here. I'll make it really simple for you. The answer is yes, but you have to understand. This is why you're getting such a good deal. This is why you're buying an $80,000, $100,000 property for $75,000. So you're kind of rolling the dice on that one. I'd rather put my money in real estate than on a blackjack table at the casino any day. So yes, there is risk, but 99% usually everything's safe. But you gotta take your real estate agent with you when you look at the property, or take your contractor with you.
Sorry. To avoid the risk, though, we gotta talk about this, which is a good topic. I'm just glad Eric brought that question up. So Eric, there's two different types of inspections. There's inspections on the sale of agreement where you hire people to do these inspections, real thorough, and then you also can ask for a CO, which is a certificate of occupancy. So that is, and I'll tell you right now, I buy most of my properties with the CO. I made Afif's dad get me one, right? Yep. He didn't want to do it, but he did it. What does that mean? That means that they call the city. Anytime you sell a house in Pennsylvania, you have to get a clear CO.
That varies by city.
By city, okay, but Macungie doesn't have to do it. Yeah, you're right. But Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, you have to have a CO. That means a certificate of occupancy. That means if you're selling that house, either you have to get the certificate of occupancy, or the new owner within like 3 to 6 months, whenever they catch you, has to get it. So 99% of the time, I ask the owner of the property for a clear CO. The city comes out, they inspect, they always fail it. They find either 5 things, 20 things. One time they found 40 things in a house that I was buying. The list was so long, the closing took 2 months. So Afif's dad, they found 4 things bad. They found cracks in the foundation. They found a GFI that was bad. So that smoke detectors that were bad. So he had to fix all that. So now, if the city's inspecting it and telling me it's good, then I'm pretty much good. Now, maybe the city won't see termites. Maybe they'll miss a couple of things. But for the most part, if you're getting a CO, would you agree it's a lot better than not having a CO?
A lot better than that.
Now, today I bought a 5-unit with no CO. Angel bought my house today with no CO. Angel, though, knows that I put a new roof on. The house is in good shape. Like, he knows me personally. So that's probably, but not only that, but he got a great deal. I got a great deal today. I got a house today for $230,000 that should be selling for like $280,000. Not only did I have no inspections, that was part of the deal. He said it's sold as is. He did do me a favor. When I did the walkthrough the first time, I saw a stain on the chimney. The girl told us that water was coming through the chimney. So the guy was nice enough to go on the roof before the close. I said, listen, we're not closing for 2 months. Can you at least have somebody coat the roof in that spot so it doesn't get worse? And he did it. But guess what else he asked me for? My title agency was shocked. First time she ever heard this. You ready? He said, as a present to himself, he wanted to keep all the security deposits. So here's what I said to myself. He's selling me, his asking price was $250 originally. Nobody was buying it, so he gave me, because he doesn't want to list it, and he doesn't have a network, so he eventually reduced it to $230, but he asked me to keep $5,000 in deposits. I said, fine, keep it, no worries. So there was no deposits given me today for any of these apartments. So I basically bought the apartment for like $235, okay? But I went with it. Why? Because it was a great deal. I wanted the property. I liked the property. I liked everything about it. So yeah, Eric, to answer your question, if you're buying a house for yourself, you might want to get inspections. But I bought my house from Fannie Mae. It was a foreclosure. But it was remodeled. And a lot of times if you buy a house that's been flipped, you don't have to worry either, right? I mean, when you flip your houses, they're pretty much in tip-top shape, right?
Yeah, when we flip them, we get CO, so we can get top dollar for it.
Right, yeah.
If inspections scare you, here's what I say. If you want to get inspections, it's fine. Do it on your first 2 or 3 properties. Get your feet wet and realize there's nothing to worry about. And then maybe on your 4th, 5th, you can start, declining on that inspection terms, and eventually no inspections.
If I would have got a clear CO for today's property, I probably would have paid $250 for it. Yeah. And if I would have gave Angel a clear CO, I probably would have got $265, $270. 265, 270. I mean 65, 70. Sorry, instead of 55. Okay, I would have got 10, 15 grand more from him just for the hassle of me doing it. Because clear CO, you get more money. Okay, and I still could have got 65, 70 the way it is. If somebody would have came in from another state and just bought it. But so that's that. Any questions on that? If not, we'll go to the next slide. That's the process. We're getting there. So now the sale of agreement. So you want to send the sale of agreement to the lender title company. So exactly. So when I went under agreement with Afiq's dad, I took the sale of agreement because it was a private deal. I sent it to my lender and I sent it to my title company. Okay. The lender then starts to say, okay, well, there's origination fees for the loan. There's this fee, there's that fee. You got to pay appraisal. They used to charge me the appraisal up front, but now they actually put it into the day of closing, which is nice because it's about $1,000 less I have to worry about right away. My bank wants a rent roll. What's a rent roll? So rent roll basically just lists the name of the tenant, the property address, and all the expenses and the cash flow. So it'll say like garbage, sewage, water, what's the total? If you don't pay, you put NA, and they just want a little bit of a rent roll so they can just kind of see statistically how the property is paying out and what's going on. So early on, let's see here, they're going to ask you for your lease. A lot of times they ask me for the lease of the property. They want to see it. If I don't have a tenant, I'm buying it vacant, I let them know. And my bank's usually pretty cool with that because I have other properties. Some banks, I'm not sure how they deal with that, but my bank just wants the lease if they have it. And then the financial records they usually ask. They usually ask me once a year for my tax returns. And then after that, they don't really bother me. They don't check on my bank account. They used to check my bank account every time I bought a house. They haven't done that in 2 years. I'm not sure why, probably just trust, and they realize that I'm making money. Early on, you want to pick your insurance company. You want to pick a title company, okay? You want to get somebody that you're going to trust. And in the closing, I like to close early in the month. I'm going to tell you why. So I closed today on a property. The reason why, because it doesn't give me a lot of time to really interact with the tenants. So now I'm closing on the 28th, and now I have to go and try to get rent from 5 people on the 1st. Luckily, I did a walkthrough on the 24th, and I asked to be able to meet the tenants so that I could get them, because the guy that sold me the property, he was picking up cash. I don't want to pick up cash. So all my people either have my bank account or they have an app. It could be the Cash App, the Venmo app, PayPal, but they have the app. So all of them are already set up through the walkthrough. So they already know where to pay me, and I basically laid all the rules out for them, okay? So early month I like better. I'll tell you why. Because let's say you close on April 3rd. Well, the landlord already got the rent most likely, or April 5th or 10th. He got the rent already. So now he prorates the rent to you at the closing. And now you have a whole month to get your phone number to the tenant, have them call you, maybe go meet them, and those types of things. So I prefer, if I can, an early month closing, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, you don't have a preference, do you?
No, I don't.
See, a thief will start his leases too on the day that the tenant moves in too. But so, and then you got to make sure you got to transfer utilities too. So make sure, like, for example, I was supposed to transfer a PP&L light bill today, and I didn't do it. I got to do it tomorrow. So make sure you don't forget that sometimes you got to transfer the utilities to your name. If there's a hallway meter, if it's the apartment's vacant, and those types of things. This is the process that we're getting into. Okay, I'll give you guys a second to ask any questions as we're getting into the next thing. Okay, so this is about thinking outside the box, okay? How can you find properties where maybe you don't need a bank, right? How can you find properties maybe that you need a bank, but they're properties that are good deals? So here you go, guys. If you see a for rent sign or a for sale sign by owner, call them up and say, hey, I noticed that you have a for sale sign. Would you be willing to hold the bank note for me? I have $10,000. Would you hold a note for me for 1 year or 2 years? Some people don't need all the money right away. They don't mind being in the bank. If you see a for rent sign, that means that person might be sick and tired of renting that place out. Maybe they're willing to sell the house to you, whether they're not holding the note or not, but maybe they're willing to sell it. Listing with owner financing. If you ask a thief right now, if you live in Lehigh Valley or Jersey, you ask them to send you listings, or you can ask them to send you listings that say, can you do specifically just by, because this is in the bottom a lot of times, owner financing available.
Yeah, you can select that. Yep.
So he can filter it for you so that you only get listings to your email that are owner financing, meaning these people will actually hold a note for you. Okay? Eviction listings. There's a place where you can go downtown and find out who is being evicted. Well, imagine if you went down there and you found 20 numbers and you called every single one and say, hey, I happen to be looking through the eviction listings. I noticed you're having an eviction. I was wondering if you'd be willing to sell that house. Somebody's got to be frustrated enough to sell it, and maybe sell it for a good deal or hold a note. You always borrow money from a friend or family member. Hard money lender. These are where you're paying usually a few points, which means a few grand plus cash. Plus interest on the cash. Unsecured lines of credit. We talked about that. Credit cards. We talked about that. Home equity line of credit. People even trade stuff, believe it or not. We'll trade a house for something. Okay. Partnerships. Find a partner. Go in it together. You might not make as much money, but it's better than making no money. Wholesaling, sheriff sales. Do you want to talk about sheriff sales? Have you bought anything? You bought stuff from sheriff sales, right? How does that work out for you?
Sheriff sales are per county. So Bethlehem, Easton, you're going to have to go to Northampton County. You just Google Northampton County and figure out what day they're holding the sheriff sale, what time. It's usually Northampton's 10 a.m. Allentown and some
Friday,
parts of
like one Friday a month, or
last Friday of the month. Allentown, west side of Bethlehem, those areas are Lehigh County. So also go on Lehigh County's sheriff sales and go there. Sheriff sales are tough. Here's why. I had a bad experience in one. I lost $2,700, but it's okay. I made a mistake and I learned from it. Actually, that setback actually set me forward probably 50 grand. And it's okay. So sheriff sales, you have to search up the home prior to even going to the sheriff sale. And here's what the problem is. You go there and you're looking at I always recommend looking at at least 10, 20 homes, because 19 of them are going to be continued or bankruptcy or continued on a later day because the homeowner made a payment and now the bank has to defer it or delay it, or they're going to file bankruptcy, or they're going to say stayed, which I really don't know what stayed means. It just goes off the list. I guess that means they made a deal with the bank or the tax association or whoever and just got off the list. You have to do your due diligence and search up your properties before you go and bid on sheriff sales. Also, sheriff sales, you better have 10% right then and there. If you want a property at $100,000 in Lehigh County, you have to pay 10 grand in cash right there. And then you have up to 30 days to pay them. They'll record it for you, and then you go to your title company and get title insurance. Now, let's say you pay 100 grand, you go to a title company, and title company says, well, there's a second lien on the house for 50 grand. That follows you. Now you bought this for 150. That is why I recommend doing some title search prior to. Now, title search can get expensive. If you're looking at 20 properties, we're looking at 150 each. So imagine spending $2 grand a month of just searching up properties where 90% you're not even going to buy them. So sheriff sales are tough. They're your last resort. I always say they're your last resort. But here's what I say. Spend an hour of your time and invest it into yourself and go to them. You don't have to go and bid. Go and you meet people. Some people sell private things. So sheriff sales isn't just about going there to purchase properties. You meet investors, you might get a crew from sheriff sales because an investor might be there with their crew, and you get to know people and you get to network. So it's a great idea.
Yeah, and I want to teach you guys a system. It's a pretty powerful system. Mike McKay pretty much took my advice on this, and this is what he's not following to the T, but he's following it. So let me tell you the system, and you got to follow me here, okay? I'm going to teach you how to only ever own 10 houses, and in 6 years from now, 6 years from today, make $100,000 a year every single year for the rest of your life. You ready? Here's what I want you to do. You're going to go out, you're going to find a property. First of all, you got to have some money to start with this, okay? So let's say we probably need maybe between 70 to 100K. And I'm going to teach you how you can create $100,000 a year for the rest of your life. So, and you can actually learn about this. I think one of the books, I think Bigger Pockets actually talks about this method also. So here's how it works. You go out and you find a distressed home. You buy it for, let's say, we're just going to run numbers. You buy it for $35,000. You got to put $35,000 into it. Okay, it's called Rehab, Rent, Refinance. So BRRR, it's actually BRRR. Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance. BRRR. So you bought it, you flipped it, you spent 70K. So you bought it, you rehabbed it, boom, 70K. You rented it. And then 6 months down the road, you refinanced it. Now, the house is worth 100 and let's say 20K. Well, 75% loan to value of 120K is what? 90,000. Okay, so you just got your 75K back and you made, your 70K back and you made 20 grand. Okay, so now you got one rental property. You refinance, now you have a mortgage on it, tenants, in, they're paying the rent, cash flow a little bit. So what do you do now? You go out and you find one more house again, same scenario. Maybe now you go a little more expensive. You have made 20 grand. So maybe this time you buy one for 50 and you put 40 into it. Now it's worth, let's say 140. Okay, so what do? You bought it, you rehabbed it, you rented it, and now you refinance it. You get 105,000 because 75% loan to value is 90 grand, is 105 grand because it's worth let's say it's worth 140. Okay, your only job is to do this twice a year. So your job, your career basically is to buy 2 homes a year, flip them, rent them, and refinance them. You're always using the same money from the original deal because you're always getting it back plus some. So as you get to the 3rd flip, you have a little bit more money. As you get to the 4th flip, you have a little bit more money. As you get to the 5th flip, you have a little bit more money. Okay? Your goal is to do 2 flips a year for only 5 years. Now you have 10 apartments, all created through the system and using the exact same money the first time. This is a brilliant system, and check this out. You got 10 apartments, you're in year 5. Guess what you do in year 6? In year 6, you sell the first 2 homes that you originally bought. They're now worth approximately 150 to 160. You only owe like 50 grand on them. Okay, or whatever you owe. But what happens is when you sell those 2 properties, you now just made $100,000 profit. But you don't stop there. You always flip 2 every year. So when you go to year 6, you sell 2, you flip 2. Now you're back to 10. Year 7, you sell the oldest 2. You flip 2 more. Year 8, you sell the oldest 2. You flip 2 more. And you can do this as many years as you want. It could be a 10-year system. You can do it a 15, 20 year. You can do a 10-year system. But after year 5, you never have more than 10 tenants ever. So no headaches. And you guys, you make $100,000 a year every single year that you do this in cash. Plus you got 10 properties. It's a brilliant system. It's somebody who's structured mentally that way who wants to do that, but that's one way where you can make 6 figures a year and actually only ever have 10 tenants. And you can maybe you have a team that does the flips for you. You don't even do the flips. Okay? So what do you think of that? We never really talked about it. I mean,
no, this is actually something new. I was going over the slides with GK and I heard about this and I'm like, maybe I want to do this because I'm on 5 properties. So maybe I want to do this. Maybe I don't want to have more than 10.
Yeah.
And I love the idea because me and him got in an argument yesterday and I said, maybe when you get to 50, you're going to be going crazy, you know? And he can handle that. Maybe I can't. Maybe somebody can't even handle 5.
Yeah. So
this system is perfect for those people. Also, I'm looking to expand my other side of business, which is real estate. So maybe I don't want more than 10 tenants because I want to tend to open up a brokerage, maybe get a private lender in there. So this system is actually amazing. And I may probably like 80% apply this and let you guys know what happens in 10 years.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So that was just it's my little secret there. Okay. A little secret I gave you. That right there, that secret alone is worth the $100 you guys pay for the class. So I heard of BDR through Bigger Pocket. Okay. There you go. Nice. So they talk about it too. I thought they did. Yeah. So I studied this a while back. I mean, if I would have gotten into the flipping game, that's definitely what I would have done. But you got to remember, guys, like I have a lot of sources of income. I do really, really well. Even if I didn't have real estate, I still do really, really well. But if I didn't have all the things I have, like if I lost everything tomorrow and had to only do real estate, I'd probably put some elbow grease into it and start doing flips and doing exactly what I just taught you, okay? So that's a great system. And you can keep it on a smaller scale too. I mean, let's say you want to do only 5 properties total and on the 6th year, sell the one and make $50,000 a year. Yep. It doesn't have to be $100,000, it can be $50,000 a year and you can live off of that and have 5 properties. You always have 5 properties and you're just flipping 1 a year. You know what I mean?
What's the average median income of
$52,000? There you go. Okay. There you go. So awesome. And if you guys don't know who Bigger Pockets are, biggerpockets.com, Bigger Pockets podcast, Bigger Pockets books. I'll show you 2 of the Bigger Pockets books at the end of this webinar. So what to look for? You're a real estate agent. Let's talk about some of these. I mean, this is something you deal with all the time. You're selling houses. Oops, let me go back to this. There you go.
Everyone is different. Everyone is different. So I get to sit down with the client and figure out and build rapport with them and see what they want. George, I showed him something in an alley with no garage, and he hated it. He was like, no, it doesn't make sense to me. So, I mean, everybody's different. Busy street, high traffic area. Why? Because you could literally rent the day you vacate. I've never had property sit on the market for more than 2 weeks. I had a client call me up and say, hey, I got $50K cash. I don't know what to do with it. I said, give it to me. I'll get you a rental and I'll start collecting rent for you. So he's like, okay, here we go. I got it for him right on Gordon Street in Allentown. Not the best neighborhood, but I knew it wouldn't last days. And in fact, it didn't. I showed it to 10 people, and instantly within the first week, I went up to my friend and I was like, here's $3,000. He's like, what's this for? I said, I got you $1,000 rent plus last month's rent plus a deposit. So here you go. And he was highly satisfied. And it's a very high rental area. Stick within cities. Don't go out to like rural areas like Bath.
Yeah. Bangor. Yeah.
Those areas. So stick to cities. Allentown is booming. I mean, Whitehall, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton.
Yeah.
Stay on the stretch of 22.
Yeah.
It's basically what I say, and you'll never have any down.
And I would say 2-3 bedrooms. Usually people stay in those longer.
Popular, yeah.
I mean, I do have a lot of 1 bedrooms, but usually it's somebody elder. But if it's somebody young, they're going to move out of that. More than 1 baths is usually appealing. Yep. I mean, for me,
at least 1.5. Yeah,
for me, I don't mind 1. It depends on the house. I mean, I got people that have 3 bedrooms upstairs. Every bedroom's a walkthrough. Like the house Angel got today, he's got 2 nice bedrooms and a third one on the 3rd floor. But sometimes they're all walkthroughs and only 1 bathroom. It's in the kitchen downstairs, and they still rent and they still love it. So there's always going to be somebody out there who wants what you got. Kitchen and bathrooms are the most expensive and most valuable part of the house. That's why the house I sold today has a tile bathroom, new toilet, new kitchen, 90% new kitchen. It's a selling plus. Type of heating, I personally like, and I know that some landlords will say that they don't like it. But I like electric baseboard heaters for many reasons. Number 1, no service call ever. Yep. City inspections never fail because they don't expect this. Like now, I have a Section 8 inspection Tuesday. They want to make sure the furnace is clean, right? 3, if the heating system goes bad on 1, they still have heat. They're not calling me at like 8 in the morning. Oh my God, the boiler shut off. We have no heat. Okay, 1 in the kitchen's not working. Let me replace it for $30. I also have all my tenants on my energy business, so they're saving money on energy anyway, okay? But I love baseboard heaters. I just took out a gas furnace in a duplex that was costing me, $1,200 a year in gas for the entire apartment because I was having to pay for it because it wasn't split. And now I have electric baseboard heaters throughout through the whole entire place. And the tenants are paying the electric bill. It is what it is, right? Type of heating and hot water, age of furnace, water heater. Is a chimney up here in good shape? What kind of electrical systems you have, old ones, new ones. I don't really like slate roofs. I mean, they supposedly last forever, but they're so expensive to keep fixing. Like I just had 5 fall off. And then not everybody wants to deal with slate. So a lot of times I'll replace slate. The house I sold today was all slate, all beat up slate, but all brand new 20, 30-year shingles on there. And the windows need updating. So a lot of these things you want to look for. Like Afif said, when you first start buying real estate, you're probably going to want to do inspections. You're going to be real picky. But honestly, guys, when you become real confident in what you're doing, every house is an opportunity to make money, and you can pretty much deal with anything. Old windows, no big deal. I'll put 2 new windows in a year. You know what I mean? Eventually, you find a way to like update everything and make it better. And you get the most bang for your buck when you're buying stuff that has to be updated. So again, don't get romantic. People will always live in a house. I'll tell you guys to do something really funny. List your house right now on Craigslist as a joke. Put it on Craigslist to rent it. And I promise you, you will not believe the amount of calls you will get. You will have probably 50 calls. It just takes a couple of days, but then it's ridiculous. It's like all day long. You got people who are offering you cash and this. Somebody told me a long time ago, I don't know who it was. It was a gentleman. I don't know if it was a Greek gentleman. It was a real estate investor. But when I was younger, he said to me something. I'll never forget it. It was unusual. He said, tenants are like roaches. They're everywhere. And although it sounds kind of weird, maybe not so nice, he's absolutely right. People text me almost every day on Facebook asking me. I had people yesterday asking me for apartments. I don't even know where somebody tagged my name and they're asking me for apartments. People are always renting. It's a renter's market. So what to look for? Okay. Now, what do you accept? Now, there's a lot of assumptions about Section 8. So what is Section 8? Section 8 is a program where people have to apply and they get a part or all of their rent paid for by the government. I currently have about 8 of these. I've had very good experience with Section 8. I also had one bad experience, but I can't really blame Section 8 as much as I have to blame the person who was on Section 8. I'll be honest with you. I've had luck with women that I have some women right now that rent for me. They're older. They're in their 50s, whether they're on disability or Social Security. They're on Section 8, and I have no problem with them. So I can't say that I have an issue. I had one issue once, and I don't know if it had to do with Section 8 or the person was just not a good tenant. But I like the fact that 8 out of my 35 rents are guaranteed because I don't know how to chase money. And if anything ever happens where I have a couple vacancies, I always have that guaranteed rate. So I have that building that I built in Allentown. It's Section 8, guys. I got $11.95 for a 3-bedroom and $11.45 for the other 3-bedroom. Nobody would have paid me that much money in Allentown. Maybe I could have got $1,000 or maybe some room with roommates, but to get $1,200 in Center City, Allentown for a 3-bedroom is crazy. People are paying that for homes in nice areas. So Section 8 paid that out. So that's up to you. I like it because they guarantee the money. It drops into your bank account every first to the second of the month. And they come every year and they inspect. That's what people don't like. Most people do not want to do Section 8 because they don't want an inspection. I have one on Tuesday coming up. As long as the smoke detectors have batteries and the railing's not loose, it's usually very easy to pass. But some landlords are not good landlords. They don't want to know there's problems. Last year I had one where I had to replace all the ceiling tiles. I didn't know that the kid ran through the wall. He caught a football and he ran through the bedroom wall. There was a huge hole of a human being in the wall. And I didn't even know that because the tenant never told me, okay? Now, it wasn't really the kid's fault. I'll tell you why. Because when we realized, and Chris fixed this for me, there was no stud. Instead of being every 16 inches, whoever built the house put the studs 36 inches apart. So, of course, when the kid ran to the wall, he went right through the wall. And then he did it on the other side, too. So both sides are like that. He did it after. But the point is, some people are like, no, I don't want those inspections. You want those inspections. You want to know that there's problems at your rental. You want to keep them up to date. So that's up to you. I like Section 8. It's great. Pets or no pet? Good question. I will tell you this, that number one, I make more money having pets, number one. I usually charge $25 to $40 per pet. I also sometimes will charge I don't like doing a pet deposit. I'd rather do pet rent. I make more money doing pet rent. I will do a refundable pet deposit sometimes as an incentive. So what does that mean? That means, okay, you move in, I charge you $25 a month for your dog, but I also take a $250 refundable deposit. And I usually refund it in 1 year. Why do I do that? Well, let's just say I put in brand new vinyl flooring and you move in and 2 months later I'm evicting you. And all you did was pay me $25 a month for the pet deposit, for the pet fee. I got $50. At least with that refundable deposit, I have $250 I can draw from it. Also be very careful with pet deposits. I'll tell you why. In Pennsylvania, the judges are sometimes a stickler. If you have a pet deposit for $300 and a security for $1,000, and that dog damaged like $700 worth of stuff because of the dog, some judges will not allow you to get more than that because it's a pet deposit for the pet damages. So the advice that I was given and I read was to have a bigger deposit overall if they have pets. The most you can do is up to 2 months security. If you do 2 months security, which I'll probably bring this up, you have to legally in Pennsylvania return the 1 month security after 12 months. A lot of times my tenants say, okay, we'll just keep it for rent for month 13. Don't give it back to us. But you might want to have a bigger security, maybe an extra $400 extra just because in case their dog does ruin something, you can then take it out of the security without any legal red tape, okay? I will tell you from my experience, who causes more damage? Not dogs. Believe it or not, children have caused more damage than dogs. And some cats have caused damage that have claws. They usually scratch sometimes the wood. But kids usually do a lot more damage. I mean, believe it or not. In my house, my dogs don't damage anything. But again, you have tenants. I've seen tenants who have dogs that are chewing wood. Depending on where the neighborhood is, if it's in a middle-class, upper neighborhood, I've learned to see that they're usually pretty responsible pet owners. Like, I'm a responsible pet owner. Okay? Depends. But most people are responsible pet owners. And most people know that they can't find a place to live with their pet, so they're willing to pay a pet deposit, a pet rent, and they're willing to be good tenants. I actually am pit bull friendly. Why? Because I'm biased, because I have 2 pit bulls that are the sweetest dogs ever, and they get a bad rap, and people will not rent to them. My tenants in Easton, the entire building is 3 pit bulls, and I go in there and do work with the dog, and he's super cute, and Jesse has 2, and I get, you know, an extra $75 a month in that building. Over 10 months, 12 months, it's an extra $1,000 in my pocket. Over 20 years, that's 20 grand more because I allowed a dog in there. Okay, so that's up to you. You cannot discriminate against what are they called? The dogs that are the aid dogs, the aids, the aid you. I'm drawing a blank right now, but the dogs that help people, like a disability dog or now they have emotional. They even have emotional dogs now. But you can't discriminate against it. If a service dog, thank you, Renan. Service dog, thank you, Paul. If somebody has one of those dogs, you can't even get a pet fee or pet deposit. Okay, that's considered like it's a different class. Okay, you got to be careful with those things too. I'm gonna tell you a little story, and we're gonna bring this up later. I know somebody who was sued and they actually lost a lawsuit for like $16K. So here's what happened. Women came in with a bunch of her kids, and it was more kids than legally. So by the way, when you get a certificate of occupancy, just so you guys know, on there it tells you the limit of adults and children that are allowed to be, let's just say the limit of people that are allowed to be in that apartment. Usually it's 2 per bedroom, I think. Yep. So if you have a 2-bedroom, it's like 4 people. It's on the CO. So when you get a CO, a lot of times you have the CO before closing. Make sure you look on the CO and you see the occupancy that's allowed in that apartment. Because I ran into problems where they wanted me to evict. Easton wanted me to evict a family because they did a random inspection and told me there was too many people in the house and that it was a safety issue. And I said, well, what do you guys do like in poor neighborhoods when somebody has 8 kids? Throw them on the street? Like, you want me to evict this lady? So my point is that make sure you see that. And what happened was this person, instead of saying, listen, you have too many people that want to rent here, it's too many people for the allowed occupancy, he accidentally said, so what he said by accident, you have too many kids, you can't live here. And that was considered discriminative. And he actually took him to court, and he lost. Cost him $16,000 lawsuit. Okay, so you gotta be really careful. By the way, all of you that are on here tonight, do me a favor, you inbox me on Facebook, and I emailed the code to everybody on Facebook because everybody who signed up from Facebook. 2 of you didn't check your Facebook page, but good that it's being recorded. I do have a 12 question questionnaire. This has saved me a huge headache. So what this is 12 questions that I ask people right off the bat. 75% will not answer the questions. So they never email them back to me. So that eliminates 75% of people that are going to waste my time me showing the house to them. 25% do answer the questions. And out of those 25%, a portion of them pass stage 1. When you ask that question, you'll know if they have pets and you'll know if they're smokers. Okay, you'll also know other things about them. But that eliminates a lot of the initial just wasting time. I also look at people's Facebook pages immediately when I have their name or phone number to see if I can find anything on their Facebook page. So we're going to get into that, but that's going to answer a lot of questions for you guys. So my point is that if you ask me for that list, I will send it to you. And that's going to be your first line of defense. Second line of defense is then I would do an open house, and I would have everybody who was approved by that questionnaire to come at that time period between, let's say, 12 and 2 or 3 and 4. Don't do what I used to do. Don't set up individual appointments for freaking 30 people, and then they fail all those criteria because you never asked them. You find out afterwards. So this system has helped a lot of my friends. They ask these questions. They realize a lot of people don't answer the questions. People that do either fail or pass. And now you have a credible client to rent your apartment. So when you have that open house, you know they're already qualified. Now it's a matter of what kind of vibe you get and if everything else is kosher, with them maybe sending you the income that you need to prove a proof of income. Smokers, that's a hard one. I prefer not to rent to smokers, but sometimes you buy an apartment with somebody who does smoke. I have an example, a lady right now, she smokes in her apartment, but it doesn't smell like cigarettes. When I come over there, she makes sure it doesn't smell, and I'm okay with it, but I prefer not to have smokers. Smokers are not a protected class. You're not protected of being a smoker. Service dog is a protected class. And then roommates, let me tell you about this one. Every single time I have rented to roommates, there's been an issue. In the beginning, they're like, oh, we're best friends. Well, next thing you know, one becomes single. There's people in the house at 4 a.m. The other one has to work this. The other one's dog is pooping on the kitchen and they're not cleaning up their dog poop. It's been nothing but a nightmare. Every single apartment that had roommates all got into a fight. And then I had to like figure out a way to, I actually paid a girl to leave because her aunt was like, she doesn't leave, I'm leaving. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're the one that's paying the rent. She doesn't pay the rent. I'm going to have to file eviction on both of you. If you leave, I have to file eviction on her because she's not going to pay me. So I talked to the younger niece and I was like, listen, I'll tell you what, I'll give you back your half of the security deposit right now. And I actually even fixed this girl's credit just to get her out of my apartment. Okay. So I don't personally recommend roommates, but that's up to you. Okay. What do you think about that? Do you ever have roommates?
Never. My brother did though.
How'd it go?
2 months ago, remember I called you?
Yeah.
I was dealing with the police.
What? Oh yeah.
What's that order you get in the court where you can't?
Protection of abuse, like a PFA.
Yeah. The one tenant left, got that against her, and came back and changed the lock, so the other tenant couldn't get in. So then she called my brother because my brother's also a landlord. He had to go and call the police, and he had to.
Yeah, it's a nightmare for me.
So he evicted both.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. I don't recommend it. I'd stay away from it. I'm never doing it again. I'm sure there's some cool roommates, but I wouldn't do it again. That's for sure. Okay. So, any questions about that? All right. Where do you get tenants, and what do you do next? So, okay. So now we got to the process, right? You bought the house. It's vacant, or somebody's moving out. Craigslist is huge for me, guys. I get all my tenants on Craigslist or pahousingsearch.com. pahousingsearch.com is also the website for Section 8. So if you want a Section 8 tenant, make sure you list it on pahousingsearch.com. Social media is a great way. That's how I've rented some apartments. I sold an apartment on there. The MLS, multiple listing service, which is something that, by the way, guys, if you inbox a thief and let them know what you want, like, are you looking for Northampton County, Lehigh County, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, duplexes, 3 units, what price range? He can send you the MLS for all that. So I'm constantly getting updates from a thief every day, every other day with new places on the market. I'll tell you right now, even if you're not ready, start looking. Start doing the examples we're going to show you. Start doing the cash on cash format. Start doing the expenses and profits, and start getting used to it so you know what you're looking for. And it's really awesome because it keeps you in the game. Looking at these houses is exciting. You're like actually looking, you're like, man, I can do this. Okay. Complete the questionnaire. So that is the questionnaire I was talking to you. So first I put on Craigslist, PA Housing Search. They call me. I say, hey, you know what? A lot of times I'll ask for my friends or my tenants to give me referrals too. I'll say, okay, well, I'm glad you're interested in the apartment. Well, I have a questionnaire you have to fill out. If you could just please send me your email, and it's 12 questions. When you send it back to me, I'll be able to get back to you on, possibly showing their house. Oh, they get approved by the questionnaire, boom, set up the open house, okay? Now, while they're there, I'll be honest with you, even if they walk in and I know right off the bat, there's no way I want to rent to this person, okay? Maybe there's something just that you personally don't like, or you see something, a bad sign, or maybe I had a couple of them, they were arguing. They were actually arguing while they were doing the walkthrough. They were fighting with each other. And one's like, oh, I'm going to go outside the car then. I was like, oh my God. So I always give out an application to everybody. I just feel like it's the best way to avoid any issues. Sometimes I'll ask if they can take the application home. If I'm not going to rent to them anyway, I just say, yeah, you can take it home. Okay. Sorry, I spit on you. So they fill out the application. Boom. Now they get approved. Now I meet them at a Starbucks or somewhere in public. And if they invite me to their house, I'll definitely go. I had a lady who just invited me to her house. I was like, this is the first. I walked in. It was immaculate. It was cleaner than my house. I was like, oh, this lady is perfect. Okay. I review the lease and the addendum. What's the addendum? The addendum is basically what I found, guys, over a long period of time doing this. There's things on leases that aren't covered. Like, for example, if they see mold, they got to tell me. If there's a water leak, they got to tell me. If they get locked out, they have to pay me to come unlock the doors. If they change the locks, it's a $100 fee. If they want to use towels or sheets for curtains, it's not allowed. Okay. They must change the smoke detector batteries. It's their responsibility. Changing the light bulbs is their responsibility. Your dad has a couple good ones at his lease too. Like, he has a right to reserve, not to accept half of the rent.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So I found that I kept running into issues. For example, no drug activity, no legal drug activity. If your rent is late, as your rent is late 3 times per year, it can be an automatic eviction. That prevents you. I mean, that allows you now to get out of a lease. As a landlord, you can go, okay, listen, they signed it. It said if they're late 3 or more times, I have the right to automatically evict them. So you don't have to deal with it for 12 months, okay?
No painting.
What's that?
No painting.
No painting. I mean, that one I don't mind. They have to ask me, but it says with written approval, they have to ask me to make changes. If they get any garbage fines or grass cutting fines or anything like that, they got to pay them. It even says if the sewage is backed up or the toilet's backed up, it's your responsibility after 30 days. Insects are your responsibilities after 30 days. If you can't afford to fix the plumbing, I will pay for it, and you must pay me back in 45 days. These are things that, no smoking, no satellites on roofs. Big one. They ruin all my roofs. Satellites damage my roofs. No kerosene heaters.
No water-filled furniture.
No smoking. No water beds, okay? These are things that are not standard. So these are things that I've learned. If you want a copy of my questionnaire or my addendum, please, not Facebook me, please email me. My email is poweringtomorrow. Actually, can you write there, Afif, in the chat? It's poweringtomorrow@gmail.com. Now, I will warn you, there might be some grammar mistakes in the addendum, okay? But that's a good start for you guys. You can keep adding. So my addendum keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every year. I even have one that says, landlord has the right to pick third-party energy supplier. On there, I also list the utility company's number for the gas, for the energy, for the local TV station, my State Farm agent's name. Why? Because I want them to get renter's insurance. $12 a month, it covers them, okay? So these are important things. So now we review the lease, the addendums, they sign everything. I either have 2 copies there right away, and I just take a little more time to do both, or I'll go home real quick, scan it, or go to Staples and scan it, and then email them a copy. Collect the security deposit. I always collect the security deposit when I do the lease signing. If they don't make 3 times the income, but I think they're really good candidates, they have to pay me 2 months security. You have to make at least 3 times the income to rent from me. Otherwise, I'm not renting to you, because if you only make 2 times the income and your car breaks down the first person, you're not going to pay. If your kid has a birthday party, the first person, you're not going to pay. How much security? How much debt? Remember, security, the maximum is up to 2 months security. So that's the most you can do. Methods of collecting rent. I will tell you right now, get in the habit of not collecting cash, unless you just want to collect cash because you don't want to deposit it for whatever you want. But personally, I babied a lot of my tenants in the beginning, and I was collecting cash all the time. I was running around like a maniac. Now they all have to pay me. Either they can send me a check or a money order. Most of the time, I don't take personal checks anymore. It has to be a cashier's check, money order, or they can go to my bank, or they can use an app like Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. Most of my tenants pay me on Venmo, okay? It's really easy. They have an automatic receipt. It goes right into my bank account. I only pick up 3 rents right now, and they're all people that don't speak English. And I could really, with Eric's help, could probably get them to do Venmo. And maybe I will, but I don't mind picking up 2 or 3. Sometimes I like to have some cash in my pocket because I have to pay Chris or pay somebody to do work, and I don't have to write them a check and go to the bank. Plus, I like sometimes I like mentally keeping myself in the game. What does that mean? I like to go to these apartments and go, wow, I own this. This is pretty cool. It gets me motivated. So if I cut that out completely, the kind of personality I have, I might lose sight of what I'm trying to do, okay? Methods of collecting. So collect first month rent, give keys. I always only give the keys when I collect the rent, the first month's rent, not before. So if you want to move in 3 days early and I have the ability to let you do that, you're still going to pay me first month's rent. Also, make sure you do a pre-inspection walkthrough. You can use a pre-inspection sheet. Make sure that if there's a gouge on the wall, or there's a scratch on something, or something's worn, it's written down. Because when you go to do that final walkthrough, when they move out, they're going to be like, well, we didn't do that. And or we, or you could say, well, hey, look, you signed this paper. That tile was not broken. Oh yeah, it was. Well, no, it wasn't, because we wrote here, kitchen, everything's fine. Okay. As far as collecting rent, let's talk about this. I'm gonna tell you guys a little secret that I use. Okay. One thing that a thief does is if the person moves in on the 18th and their lease is the 18th to the 18th, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I like to have my money come in on the 1st, because my bank usually wants. Well, my bank actually mortgages are different dates, but I just want money coming on the 1st. I don't want to have 37 tenants with all different rent dates. Okay, I personally don't. If it was 5, maybe it wouldn't matter. So here's the thing that I came up with, and I'm going to give you guys a little tip that'll save you some trouble. If you're moving in on the 20th of the month or 25th of the month, most people will prorate that. What that means is they're going to go, okay, they're only living in the house for 5 days. So what would be the rent divided by 30 days times 5? Okay, well, you can move in. Here's the keys. Just give me $200. What if that tenant becomes a deadbeat in the first 2 weeks and doesn't pay you the next month's rent? So let's say they move in on the 25th. They give you $200 for 5 days, or $100. And now it's next month, and already they're not paying you rent. And now you got to go file eviction. How much money do you have in your pocket? You have your security, but you only got like $200. I like to see how serious somebody is. So what I say to them is, listen, I know you're moving on the 23rd, but the way it works with my system is you got to pay me a full month's rent. And what I do is I prorate the second month. And that's how I always have done it, guys. I always have that money in my pocket. Plus, if I did repairs and paint and this and that, I want some of that cash back quick. I don't want to wait, the next month. I want that money back in my pocket. So that's just a method that I use. It's a little more protective in case you ever run into an issue. Okay, so I always prorate the second month, not the first. Okay. Any questions on this? And I don't know if you want to add anything to it, just please feel free. Tell us more about that. We would like to hear your experience. Oh, that's a thief.
He has a roommate. Jay has a roommate.
So here's what I do. I can't really make anybody get it. You can make people get it. I apologize. You can. What I do though is I'll give you an example. The condo that I own, they made me every year send them a proof of insurance. You can do that. Nothing wrong with that. You got to set your standards. Okay. I just check the box that says I'm telling them they have to have at least $100,000 liability insurance and $25,000 property insurance. That's my minimums. So I always check the box off, and it says if the box is checked, landlord needs tenant to have $100,000 in liability, $25,000 in property, and then it's up to them. But at least I checked it off. So if there's ever an issue, I was like, hey, look, I mandated they had to have this. Okay, I will tell you what happened with my fire. The girl upstairs didn't have it. She's the one that started the fire. She was out of luck. Her mom downstairs actually had it, and she got paid a couple $1,000s for the water damage from the firefighters. They still paid me though. Insurance still paid me because it's part of my policy that I get paid regardless, but they're going to probably go after her and sue her now for those damages. So yeah, let's say 80% chances I won't ever have a roommate until I write an agreement. It can get hectic and laziness. Just let's say let's say 80% chances I won't ever have a roommate until is written agreement. I can't get hectic and lazy. I'm not really sure what that means, but I don't know if you can maybe, are you asking me a question or is that a statement? I don't see a question mark, so I'm just trying to understand that. You can rephrase that while we go on to the next one here. And if, or you can wait till a little bit later and text me that. Okay, so tenant screening, you ready for this? You guys are gonna be shocked. I've never done a credit check, ever. And I have a credit repair company. Why? Because 68% of Americans have subpar credit. If you're, that's a thief's dog making noise. I think you woke up. Is that the dog? I think it's a dog. If you're paying me $1,400 in rent or $1,200 in rent, you probably got bad credit. So I honestly go off of the 3 income rule and judge a character. And I've only had to ever evict one person who I rented to personally, and that was today, because they sold the house and they got paranoid that I wasn't going to pay them back their security deposit because the prior landlord that they had prior to me stole their security deposit at the last house. Okay, it's only been tenants that I inherit that I've had to actually try to file an eviction on. Okay, so I don't check credit score. Referrals, I will call the previous landlord, okay? And I have a trick. You ready for this trick? Because, like, for example, let's say right now, Joyce, you're like, hey, George, can you pretend you're my landlord? I can be like, okay, what do you want me to do? Say, well, this guy Afif's going to call you, and you're going to pretend you're my landlord. Okay, I got you. So Afif calls me, hey, I'm calling for Joyce. You're her landlord. Oh, yeah, I'm her landlord. Oh, she was great, right? So when I call these landlords, I say to them, hey, do you have any vacancies right now? And if they go, what do you mean? Well, do you have any apartments for rent? Well, I don't have apartments. What are you talking about? And then I hang up and I just never get back to that person, because that means that they were setting me up. That's not a real landlord. It's their friend. That's one way that I play the players, okay? Hey, I heard you might have some apartments for rent. Really? I don't have any apartments for rent. I don't have apartments. Where'd you get that from? Oh, never mind. My bad. Okay, so I always call the landlord, okay? Prior landlord. I look for, I ask them about prior evictions. Here's what I say to them. I say, listen, I'm going to check your credit. Just be honest with me right now. I have a credit repair company. I know people have bad credit. What am I going to find on there? And if I ask the question that way, everybody will tell me, most of the time, they'll be honest with you. Yeah, I have medical bills. I didn't pay this. Am I going to find any evictions on there? And I had one person tell me, yeah, you are. Okay. So that's your choice then. Again, the three income rule always beats everything else, because if they can show me 3 times the income, I'm happy with that. Okay. There is a website where you can pay, like right now I can pay $20 to put if I get an eviction judgment from the judge, I can pay $20 to actually put it on a website. And there's a website where you can go and you can see everybody's name who's been evicted. Do you remember that website? What was that called? It was like
CRM something.
Yeah, it was CR something, right? Yeah. So there's a website where you can actually look to see if that person's been evicted. There was a question from Afif I'm answering. Sorry. Jay answered you a question. I thought he was asking me the question. He said, let's just say 80% chances I won't ever have a roommate until it's written agreement. It can get hectic and laziness. Was there a question you asked him?
Yeah, I asked him, give me your experience of having a roommate.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Roommates, I don't know. That's tough. So guys, criminal background check, you can do one of those. I mean, a lot of people do. There's systems you can pay people, and a lot of times tenants will pay for this. I get a lot of people who are excited when I say there's no fee for applying. And a lot of times some people actually take advantage of tenants. They'll take $30 from every single tenant. You're legally not really supposed to do that, integrity wise. You're supposed to take it from the first person in line, and then if they don't qualify, you go to the next one. So I've heard of people who probably take $10, $30 each, and they probably keep the money, right? I'm not into that. I'm in this business to try to help the world, and unfortunately sometimes I get burnt. That's just my personality. Rental collection search, there we go. That was what we were talking about. Employment verification. So guys, do you have any questions about this? So if a person is renting from you for $1,000 a month, they have to make at least $3,000 a month. And that could be gross income. That's fine, okay? If they're like at 29, 28, you could feel them out and say, listen, you're kind of on the cusp of where we need the income to be. So if you can give us 2 months security, you can have the apartment. And then I've had people give me 2 months security. Not a problem, okay? I've had it very few times happen, okay? So let's get into the next slide here.
I'd love to add something.
You want to add something?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I've had people come up to me and say, hey, I have 7 months of rent ready right now. I'll give you 10 grand cash. And although that seems to be the best thing I've ever heard a tenant ever say to me, it is very, very good. But also you got to think of it this way. There's a reason why they're doing that. So on the leases, you can put on the addendum, and I believe it's in the lease itself. It says landlord has to give you 24-hour notice, and they could do random inspections at any day of the month, as long as they give you 24-hour notice. So you got to be careful with tenants who offer you 6 months in advance.
Yeah.
So I just put a property for rent, my dad's property that vacated, and we had somebody give us $15,000 and rented it, I think, for like 8 months.
Oh.
Which my dad took him up on that, but we did our due diligence, did the background check. It was worth it. And the dude is clean, and the property is actually in our neighborhood in Whitehall. So we can check up anytime if there's any, suspicious activity. I've heard people where they do that, and then they could run like a drug thing, or make meth or whatever, like a meth house. And so you got to be careful. And that's all I just wanted to
add. And I've heard in a lot of books that I've read, not to be, they should be scared of that. Sounds good, but something's wrong usually. Yeah. Sometimes they get inheritance, and sometimes they get like a lawsuit, and So two things on that. I had a guy, I'll give you an example. Two things I want to think about. I had a guy came to the apartment and he said, listen, I'll give you, the rent was $850. I'll give you $1,200 a month. I'll give you $1,050 a month, plus I'll give you $2,000 right now for security. And I was like, wait a minute, so you're gonna give me $200 more a month and $2,000 security? He's like, yeah, I want the apartment that bad. I have a dog. Okay, well, I was kind of like, wow, this is crazy. I'm gonna make an extra $2,400 a year off this guy because right now it's like a tie between him and the other tenant. So I was like, all right, you know what, you got yourself a deal. I said, here's what I need from you though. I said, here's my biggest concern because you have a dog. I was like, and I want to see, can you send me a picture of what your house looks like? So he was like, yeah, I will. I was like, my biggest problem, I always tell people, listen, my biggest pet peeve is a house not being clean. And they're like, oh, we're clean. He said, oh, we'll send you pictures. He volunteered. I said, sure. So he sends me pictures of his house. I'm going through every picture. The house is spotless. In the middle of the living room, I see this weird, like, I don't know what it was. I thought maybe it was like some 50 Shades of Grey thing. Okay. And I'm like, hey, do you have a massage bed in the middle of your living room? And he writes back, yeah, I'm a tattoo artist. I tattoo out of my house. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. So you're going to have people in the apartment every day? He goes, usually 5 days a week. So a lot of people are coming in and out. He's like, yeah. He's like, is that an issue? I said, yeah, it's an issue. I said, first of all, like, what happens if somebody gets hurt coming in and out? My neighbors are going to think you're selling drugs. I don't want that in that neighborhood. If Bethlehem finds out, I'm going to probably get in trouble because you don't have a business license. No, absolutely not. He's like, all right, well, then I won't do it. I'll find a place. I'm like, I didn't feel comfortable. So he was willing to pay more, but it wasn't worth it. A funny story with somebody that I know, I won't mention who it is, Afif knows who it is, but there was a guy who bought a building. Here's a way to get people out of their lease. Now, it's not the nicest thing to do. Let's say you buy a building and the person is paying $500 a month and you really need like $800 a month. So you say, hey, I'm the new landlord. Just want to let you know that, this rent should be like $800 a month. Are you okay with that? And they're like, no, I'm not okay with that. I'm paying $500 a month. Well, what would you like us to do? Well, if you could pick a rent rate, what would it be? Well, how about $100 a month? So the guy said to him, how about $100 a month? And the guy said, okay, that's fine. You know what? You want $100 a month? I'll be here tomorrow and we'll sign a new lease. We're going to forfeit your current lease at $500 and we're going to give you a new lease for $100. What do you think? Really? Yep. I'll be here tomorrow. Goes there tomorrow, brand new lease, month to month. Second month goes back and says, hey, the rent's $800. What do you mean it's $800? You had a month to month lease for $100. The rent's $800. And the guy paid the $100. So I know it sounds kind of mean, but that's exactly what he did. And that's how he got him out of that lease. So if you have a problem child, you could always say, hey, let me renegotiate your lease. I'll take off $200. I'm going to lower the rent for $100 less. Really? Okay, yeah, boom, month to month lease, okay? So no questions on this. Next slide. Some golden nuggets. Okay, we talked about the prorating the rent, guys. Okay, we talked about some of these already. It's up to you, but I don't like to prorate the rent. Security deposit amount. Remember, 2 months security. Legally, you have to give it back. Second one by month 12, even if they don't move out. It was nothing about giving back. What was it about? That was it. Remember now, if somebody moves out, you have 30 days in Pennsylvania to give them the security deposit. If you don't, or give them at least a reason why you didn't, you will go to court and you will lose and you will have to pay 2 months security back to the tenant. It's crazy. One of my friends, Carmen, actually won a case like that. Her tenant wouldn't give her, the landlord wouldn't give her security, didn't give her a letter. She filed a court magistrate and then he lost and she got double security. Late fees. Afif's dad sold me the building. It says, first day you're late, $100 fee.
That's all mine.
And then $10 a day after that. Well, guess what? You can do that, but if you go to court, you're never going to get that upheld. The maximum allowed in Pennsylvania is 5%, guys. There are no grace periods legally in Pennsylvania. So when you give the 5-day grace, you don't have to do that. You can say rent's due on the 1st, on the 2nd. What's that?
You skipped rent.
Oh, yeah. By the way, rent increase, no cap in Pennsylvania. So if you want to increase it by $500, there's no cap. I mean, obviously you wouldn't do that. That's usually like
bad business practice.
5 to 7% a year.
Yeah.
You know.
And you want to increase rent. Why? Because as property tax increases, as
insurance.
You have to keep up with it. So every year you have to go back and do your numbers again.
Yeah, and I usually wait a couple years and then I increase the rent. I don't do it every year. I do it every couple years. If tenants are really good, there's not many expenses there. They barely ever bother me. Sometimes I don't even increase it for like 5 years. Okay, it's all about. Some properties have problems all the time, and that's when the ones you need to increase. No grace periods. That means I always have a 5-day grace period, just to be nice. Everybody I just talked to, that 5-unit I bought, I said, listen, guys, because they're used to paying the rent by the 1st. I said, listen, as long as I get the rent by the 5th, you're not going to hear from me. Once the 6th comes, I tell you that you're late. The late fee is $10 a day. By the 11th, if you haven't paid, we're going to court, eviction court. There's no ands, ifs, and buts. Once in a blue moon, if something happens in your life, you got to tell me, hey, you know what, this month I got to catch you on the 13th. As long as you communicate, we're okay. I also do random inspections, like a thief said, once every 6 months, once a year. And then I also give incentives. I let them know, hey, you know what, if everything goes well this year, rent's paid on time, you're never late, there's not many expenses, things aren't being, repaired, I'll help you with, when, let's say, like, you want a new fridge, it can be stainless steel. Or let's say you want a bedroom painted because it wasn't painted before I bought the building, I'll do it. So I give my tenants incentives to be good tenants, okay? And when their appliances go bad, if they're good tenants, they can pick whatever they want. If they're not good tenants, meaning they don't take care of the place, they're not clean tenants, they don't pay on time, then I don't go out of my way to give them incentives. But incentives work, okay? They always work. People that know, once you start doing like for example, I have a lady who's a great tenant, always pays on time. We did her living room floors and her dining room floors the 1 year. 1 year we did her kitchen floor and 2 new cabinets. The next year, Chris put in 2 new windows in her living room because she was getting a lot of cold air. Last year was, let me think. Last year I did something for, I don't remember, the kitchen floor. And then this year, which was a couple days ago, she's been there 5 years. The bedroom was pink. It was pink when I bought the place. I painted her bedroom, her dining room, and her living room. Bedroom, dining room, and bathroom, whatever. No, living room, bedroom, bathroom. It cost me like $350 labor and $150 in paint. So for $500, she's ecstatic. She's happy. She doesn't want to ever move. Next year, we're going to be doing her other cabinet and the back wall and painting the kitchen. So every year I do something for her. She barely ever costs me money, and she's a really good tenant. Okay. And that place needs those things. Some places don't need anything. A lot of times when Chris does, like when I buy, a lot of times, guys, I'll buy something, I'll kind of flip it. When I say flip it, not like a major flip, a small flip, where we go in, we look for anything that needs to be repaired, we paint, we floor, and then those properties hardly ever need anything, okay? So, go ahead.
Question.
Oh, questions. Oh, there we go. Do you spreadsheets? Yes, absolutely. I'll show you what my spreadsheet looks like right now. I'll see if I can put it on the screen for you. Good question. So here you go. There's, if I can get it there. So all these columns here are broken down from LLC 1, LLC 2, random houses and garages that are not in the LLC or that are there. Green means they paid rent. White means that's just Easton. Here you go. Let me show you. Like, so here's April's already. There's 2 people that already paid rent for April. One guy paid 4 months in advance, and then you see that white one up there. That white one up there is that's not white. Where is it at? Let's see here. Oh, there's 2 white ones here. There's 2 people that haven't paid me rent in March. One just owes me $180, and that's because Section 8 overcharged her last month by accident, so she paid me a crazy amount. And this guy's the one that I evicted. Okay, and then page 2 is all the repairs. So I have all the repairs listed down here: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. That's all the repairs, dates and cost and what was repaired. And then page 3. Oh, on page 1, I also have, let me see here, I have a running list of expenses like eviction for Turner Street, eviction for Ellinger, unit fees for the year, business license, certified mail that I sent out, Easton fees for the, so every apartment has like a yearly fee just to be a landlord, basically. Page 2 was the expenses, and page 3 is organized nicely with water bills, for monthly water bills for the Allentown properties, and water bills for the Easton properties and Bethlehem. And then you have quarterly water bills. Some people have quarterly, I'm sorry, not monthly water bills. These are all quarterly water bills. All quarterly water bills. Then you have quarterly garbage bills. Then you have quarterly sewage bills. Then you have monthly sewage and garbage bills. And you have monthly electric bills. So they're all color coordinated. And then you have people down here who pay me in advance for their water bill. And I put that on there. So everything's done on Microsoft Word. It's on what's the app called here? Let me see here. The OneDrive. I use OneDrive, which means if I put it on here, it shows up on my laptop. I can be anywhere at any time. And if I put it on one location, it goes to all my locations that have the OneDrive. So yeah, I use this. This is really, and guys, I do it as I do my life, okay? Like today, if I go to Home Depot and I buy you a new light, I put it in immediately, bum, bum, bum. If Venmo comes in, immediately. I'm so good at doing this. The only ones I ever miss sometimes, I might forget like a month or two of light bills, and then I go back into my PPNL app. But yeah, you absolutely want to have a spreadsheet, okay? Can you share blank template of Excel sheet? Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a blank one though. But I can kind of like, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've evolved it over time here. Let me show you like 2018. It keeps getting better. So 2018, I had all the sewage and stuff going this way. It was a pain in the neck. Okay, now I realize it's easier to go up and down. For the expenses, it was a nightmare. I had it like color coded, but I had it all going up and down. I couldn't find any apartments. Some apartments were here, 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 here. So there was no rhyme or reason. Now they're all coded by LLC and all on the first row going down. So as I've gotten better, but yeah, Raven, I can help you with that. Just let me know. It's really simple.
If you go to Excel and you search templates, you might find something that works for you. I customize my own because just my brain, how it works.
Too. Yeah, me too.
So I think instead of asking for a blank sheet, try it out for yourself and do like, you know, do your income, do your expense, and then do it, see how you like it. And if it doesn't work out, try different templates that are already on Excel.
But mostly, it's all the apartments are listed, boom, on one line. So it says here like GK1, all my GK1 properties, there's like 17 there. The GK2 has another like 20. And then next to it is up here is January, February, March, April, May, June, July, all the way across. So what you do is I use color codes. When it's green, the rent's been paid. When it's white, it hasn't been paid. For utilities, when the landlord pays them, I use yellow. When the tenant pays them, I use green. So that I know that, okay, that month I got the bill, but I got to pay it, so I just make it yellow, okay? And then my accountants kind of learned my system too. I'll say, hey, you know, anything you see on here, I send this to them every year. Yellow means I paid it. Green means they paid it, okay? So good questions. All right, we got some questions there.
Another question. So if a tenant is month to month, they could increase the rent.
Absolutely.
The landlord can increase
Where's
the rent.
that at? I missed it. Oh, yeah.
You missed it.
Yes, if the tenant's month to month, you can definitely renegotiate the lease. You can ask them to do a new lease. You can increase the rent. You can do whatever you want. I was taught in Pennsylvania, though, that for rental increase, you want to send a certified letter explaining it. So I don't even text them or talk to them about it. I just send a letter basically saying, hey, you know what? I want to thank you for being an awesome tenant. I have to just let you know, due to business expenses, there'll be a slight increase this year. We're hoping that you'll continue to rent from us. And that's it, okay? And I had two tenants who didn't even want to accept the letter. They called me like, hey, something wrong? I see a certified letter from you. And it's funny because it got sent back to me. So I said to her, yeah, it was a rent increase. Now, her rent was $685. I really wanted to charge her $720, but I was nervous. So the letter said her rent was going up to $700. She goes, well, how much is it? Like $50? I was like, yeah. And then I got more rent. So I'm glad she didn't sign a letter, okay? This is what makes successful landlords, guys, okay? Unsuccessful landlords, you ready? By the way, I've been to, what, did I miss one?
I think you didn't go over successful.
Oh, I did?
Yeah,
oh, my bad.
Skip to it.
So I went to a lot of real estate seminars. I went to free ones, like those local ones that are held every year. Allentown holds one, Bethlehem holds one, Easton holds one. I went to all of them. I sometimes go over more than once to the same one. They're fun. I meet people. I also notice that most landlords hate what they do, which makes me smile because I don't. So education is important. Professionalism, there's a fine line there. I'm going to be honest with you. We're all human beings. Sometimes you find tenants who you really bond with because they just, you know, I have a girl who was in prison. All her kids were separated from her. She got out of prison, got her kids back, got on Section 8. I felt really like torn. I bought the place just for that reason. Now she has a new car, new phone, new job. She's doing great. She's paying the house for me. I mean, we're working together as a team. She appreciates me. So sometimes, it's tough, but you got to try to keep professional. I'll give you an example. I have tenants texting me at 9 o'clock at night, 10 p.m. at night. That's my fault. If something's going on in your life with your real estate properties, it's your own fault. It's not your tenant's fault. It's your system. So if I'm getting frustrated because you're texting me at 10 p.m. on a Friday about something stupid, about you smell dog poop downstairs, that's my own problem. You have the right to say, hey, I have office hours. Unless it's an emergency, you can't text me after 5 o'clock. You have the right. You got to set the pace from the beginning. That's where I made the mistake, guys. I didn't set that pace. I didn't have those standards. I'm telling you, set those standards. 90% of the time, being nice will get you nowhere in this business. I'm telling you. It's going to allow them to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, okay? How often those water, sewer, trash bills come? So Allentown every 3 months for sewage and water. Bethlehem every 3 months for sewage and water. Easton's a pain in my neck. Every single month is trash and sewage in one bill. It's gotten to the point now where I can kind of tell what they're going to be, trash and sewage. So I actually put it into the rent because it's such a pain in the neck to text my tenants. And then you had that same thing with Easton, right? I mean,
yeah. So Easton does their things so weird. So they send you the bill in December, and it's actually for
2 months behind.
October.
Yes.
It's insane. So when you sell a property, you're going to run into problems there. And we actually did run into a problem.
Yes.
But we fixed it. It was dollars, so it's not a big deal. So what George did was a great idea. My dad didn't do before. He was like, I'll just increase the rent for, what's the average bill? $60?
$60. I increased the rent for 75 in case they're out.
Yeah, so he just increased for 75, and I was like, why'd you do that? He was like, well, so I don't have to call him every month. I don't have to worry about it every month. I'll just pay it, and then it's there.
Because every month I'm getting these bills in the mail or on my phone. I got to text them to the tenant. It's a pain in the neck. So the water bills, I do have to pay when there's multi-units and the water bills are not separated. So I only get one water bill. Legally, I can't charge them. So I can increase the rent a little bit for water. But Bethlehem and Easton, everybody pays their own water. Tenants will use as much water as possible. They know it's free. They don't care if faucets are dripping. One little drip on a faucet is $50 every 3 months. So when they know they're paying the water bill and that faucet drips, they call me right away, okay? So that's that. Electric bills are obviously every month. The hallway ones, the hallway meters. What else?
In Jersey, water and gas. Water is separate. Tenant can put water in their name.
Okay, in Jersey, water can put tenants, so water in their name. I don't allow tenants to put water in their name because it's a lienable item, which means if you go to sell that house, whatever that water bill is, it has to be paid when you sell the house, okay?
Actually, you can't. It has to stay in the owner's name.
Where, Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Yeah. So repairs, management, make sure you have a good team. Repairs. Guys, do repairs right. Do not allow things to get out of hand. One little water issue from a soffit or from a shingle for $50, $100, $200, if you let it go, it causes so much more damage. I don't understand some of these slumlords that I run into. I walk in to buy a place and I'm like, this whole wall is ruined. Yeah, there's a leak under the sink, and he didn't come out and fix it. No. Preventative maintenance is huge. Okay, manage your office hours. Have a second phone number. Angel has a second phone number. He doesn't want the tenants calling his number. Okay? Know when to outsource. If you're handy, there's times you want to outsource. No family and friends. I will not rent to family and friends. Okay? I rented to one friend, good guy, but he kept paying the rent late. And just kept and he kept thanking me, but man, it was a torture for 2 years. And I left him in there because he was a friend of mine. He was also in my network marketing business. I don't want to do that again. I do have one person now who's a friend of mine. Then eventually he joined my network marketing business, but he's good and he knows the rules. I told him, I don't play no more. The other guy, was an older tenant back in the day. I tend not to mix my tenants and my businesses. People say, well, do you offer your businesses the opportunity, your tenants to do business with you? No, I don't. I don't want them. I want to keep them separate. They can be my customers in my business. Unless they're really somebody who I think is definitely a good fit, then maybe I'll show them an opportunity to make money with me. But for the most part, believe it or not, 99% of my tenants are blocked off my Facebook page. I don't want them seeing my life. I don't want them seeing my cars. I don't want to see their stuff either. Because some of their stuff will drive me crazy. Some of them might be just talking about stuff that I think is something that drives me nuts. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Only tenants that are on my page are like 2 or 3. That's it. That's because they joined me in my network marketing business and I had them on my page, okay? Do not be the owner. You always have a business partner. Your business partner is the investor. The business partner is the guy who calls the shots. You're just that part of the company that is dealing with the people. Remember, there's got to be a bad guy and a good guy. You're the good guy. Try to maximize income and minimize expenses, guys. And that's, again, the maintenance. And turnover is, again, sometimes it's better to work with a tenant, give them what they want, maybe a slight increase, not a crazy increase, to prevent turnover. What's going to make more sense? Maybe increasing $20 a month rather than 100, and then not having to paint and do new floors, okay? And more importantly, set goals. I have goals every year. What's your goal this year for you, okay? My buddy Brad said to me today, hey, man, like, I missed my goal. I was supposed to get a rental property in the first quarter, and I didn't get it. I said, okay, well, what are we going to do now? I said, well, can I sit with you next week and figure out a way to make that goal happen? He's like, I think I'm going to take a HELOC out on my house, a home equity line of credit, and I'm going to leverage that to buy a rental, just like you did, maybe like a $50K rental. I was like, okay, let's do it. Got to have those goals. I'm in my city of water switch gas charges all one bill. Oh, wow. Okay, what city is that, Michelle? I'm curious.
She's in Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I asked if it's all one company.
Corpus Christi. Nice. That's pretty convenient, I guess. There's also a lot of money at one point you got to pay.
Do you want to talk about do you want to talk about a little bit about maximize income, minimize expense, and give them that example of my dad's 2-unit that you recently purchased?
Okay,
you
perfect.
Went in there with the,
all right.
the sense of,
everybody. All right, so check this out. And Afif's dad, shared some knowledge with me, and I took his advice, okay? I bought a rental property off of Afif. It should have been about $110,000. I got it for how much? 95. I bought it for 95. Reason being is the first floor was a disaster. I mean, it was like dirty. It just needs like a lot of work, right? Upstairs wasn't so bad. Tenant upstairs. Here's what I originally said. I said, here's what we're going to do. I want you to get rid of the first floor tenant. I said, I cannot deal with a stinky, dirty place. There was stinky cat litter, insects, roaches, just cluttered. I mean, just something that I couldn't deal with. My OCD was going crazy. I was like disgusted walking in it. So I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to kick her out, and I'm going to spend 10 grand and remodel the whole place. The guy upstairs, place is clean. We'll keep him. About a couple days before the deal is supposed to go through and he's going to tell the tenant that she has to move, his dad calls me up and says, hey, I want to talk to you. Here's what I want to tell you. Just want you to understand something. The lady downstairs has never been late on her rent in 5 years, not even once. She's a little dirty, okay? I've been trying to tell her to get clean. You can be a little bit more on her, but you're going to spend $10,000 and you're only going to get $100 more rent. And now you take the chance of a new tenant not taking care of your house. So it's going to take you 10 years to get that money back. Why don't you just keep her in there? Because at the end of the day, the place is so beat up, meaning like it can't get any worse. It's not like she's damaging things, she's just dirty. But it can't get any more outdated. It can't get any dirtier. So just take as much money as you can from her and basically deal with her, because whether it's now or 5 years from now, you have to renew it anyway. So why not do that? And I thought about it. I thought, wow, he's right. So I actually went in there. I increased the rent by $50. I renegotiated the lease to add the water and the sewage and garbage onto the lease. And she's been a great tenant. It's been the guy upstairs who actually I had to file eviction on. So believe it or not, I had I was going to throw out the good tenant and keep the bad tenant. But he was right. And that's how I maximized my income and minimized my expenses. Okay. And that gave me 10 grand to go out and buy more stuff. So I have to realize that I'm not living there. I don't want to get romantic. I just have a standard, guys. I have a standard of the way my places look. But sometimes you have to realize if you're buying it for somebody else and excuse me, and it's working, don't mess with the system. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's not broke though.
Correct. Now, unsuccessful landlords, not aware of education and laws, which is important. So you want to do your diligence on reading up and knowing about laws. Fair Housing Act is huge. Having bad systems, which is like, okay, well, the rent can be late. I'm not going to charge you late fee. Oh, you lost your keys. Don't worry. I'm going to come out there and do it for you. Oh, you know what I mean? Just bad systems, not screening well. It's huge. The biggest defense to having a good tenant is screening well. Bad leases and paperwork, not having your leases correctly. if I was you, I would definitely put on there when it says either write it on there or check it off that you don't have to give them a 10-day notice.
They can get with me. I have a great lease.
Okay, and if he has a great lease, make sure your paperwork's right, because when you go to file eviction, that's important, okay? Not maintaining your property, having no team, not enforcing your rules, and not understanding that it's a business, it's not a hobby, okay? You guys can all pretty much make sense of this, okay? Let's take a look at the next one, evictions. Here we go. This has been one that's been happening to me a lot lately. Do not waste time. Trust me, it's business. Don't get emotional. I am telling you, I went to evict Efif's dad's guy that he left me with, and he said to me, it was February 22nd. I'm in Texas. He goes, hey, I can't pay the rent. I'm like, what do you mean? You told me you were paying me on the 13th. Now you told me the 22nd. Now you're telling me you can't pay February's rent. I'll pay you February's rent in March. What? When? March 10th. I'm like, no, I'm going to file eviction on Monday. He goes, do what you got to do. Come home Monday, I file eviction. The sheriff went to the house on Tuesday, was a letter on the door. As soon as he seen the letter, hey man, what can we do? What can we do? I'm like, what do you mean, what can we do? I have $900 right now. I'm like, well, no, now it's $1040 because you owe me money for the fees. All right, I'll have it to you today. So how did he not have the rent till March 10th? But now because there was a letter on the door, he had the rent, right? Today. So I sold the house to Angel. I've been asking these people to pay me their rent since the 22nd. They've been ignoring me because they're afraid they're not going to get their security deposit. They ignored me all weekend. They ignored me. I gave my ultimatum. You got to pay me by Tuesday or I'm going to put a letter on your door. They didn't pay me Tuesday. I put a letter on the door. Hey, you got to pay me by Wednesday or I'm putting eviction. Nothing, guys. Not crickets. Today, the sheriff went there and put a letter on their door saying they have to be in court April 9th. What did they do? They immediately called me. Hey, we have a huge misunderstanding. Can you send me a proof that you have that the new guy has a deposit and we can square this away? Don't waste time. These people are going to just get over on you, okay? So if you need a 10-day notice, here's what you got to do. Let them know that you're giving them a 10-day notice if they're late. So let's say the rent is due on the 5th. Let's say the rent's due on the 1st. And by the 6th, they haven't paid you. You gave them a grace period. Now you can give them a 10-day notice. Say, hey, I'm giving you a 10-day notice. Now on the 16th, if they haven't paid you yet, you go and you can file. Now you put the notice, there's 3 options. Tape it on the door so they can see it, certified mail, or deliver it to them in person. Once you file, you'll get a date. Easton is like 5 days later, Allentown 7 to 15. Make sure you find a local magistrate first. When you go in there, before you fill anything out, ask them if this address is at that magistrate. I had a mistake happen to me 2 weeks ago where it wasn't at the right place. Complete the eviction application thoroughly. Add the late fees. Okay? When you go back for the hearing, make sure you have the lease. Make sure you have any text messages. Make sure you have any pictures. Make sure you have everything you need. Make sure you have the receipt of the registered letter. Make sure you have a photo of you putting the notice on the door. Do not allow anything to chance. Now, if they don't pay you, they'll get a judgment against them. They have 10 days to appeal or 10 days to pay you. If they don't pay you within those 10 days, you'll be able to you'll have a date from the judge. You can go down to the magistrate, pay for the constable now to come out. The constable will come out usually within 10 to 15 days. You must be present though, and they remove them and you change the locks right there and it's game over. 30 days tops. Okay?
I had someone leave their pit bulls in the house.
Oh my God. You hear that? You had somebody leave their pit bulls in the house.
So I had somebody evict and the constable was there and he literally dragged the tenant out. You know, he evicted them and what's going on?
That's not going to move. It's okay. Sorry.
So he evicted them. And, there were pit bulls in the house and they left the pit bulls. And the constable asked them and they're like, we don't care. And they just left the pets and left. So then they called the proper program or whatever to come pick up the pets. So, and we were there and we just changed the locks so that way the tenant doesn't come back and do more damage or whatever.
Now we're getting into the part of how to calculate profits and stuff like that. So the first one is examples of net operating income. So I'll give you a perfect example. I bought a property, let's say 111 North Street, Allentown. It was sold to me for $90K. The rents are, it's a 2-unit with a garage. So there's my rent, $935, $75. Okay. So if he's going to do the calculations here, what do we got there? $935, and $75. So we got $1945 is the total cash flow. A mortgage is $72K, which cost me $456 a month, plus my water and sewage that I'm responsible for, which is $70 a month. My gas heat is $135. My taxes and garbage is $269. My insurance is $75 a month, and my electric hallway meter is $26. I also borrowed The money for the down money, my line of credit fee is $100. And that is how much? We didn't add that up yet, did we? Excuse me, my allergies are killing me today. So let's see, let's add up all that stuff there. We got the 456, 70, got it all? Plus the 456, right? For the mortgage?
No.
Okay. Did you get the line of credit fee?
That's per month?
Yep. Okay, so we're 1131.
Yeah.
So now we're at 1945 minus 1131 is you got $814 cash flow. Not bad. Okay. Now if you have a management property company, you have to remove then 1945 rent. So $195 a month in mortgage. I mean in a maintenance company. So now it takes you down to like $600 cash flow. So you can have $800 cash flow a month and do it yourself, or have $600 a month and have a management company take care of it. That's how you figure it out, okay? Don't forget, there's also in Allentown sometimes the unit fee, $65-$70 a year. There's also the sometimes stormwater fee, okay? So
it's around $60 a year.
Which is about $60 a year. So don't forget the little tiny, the business license costs you $35 a year. So don't forget to add those in there, okay? To be real, we're gonna go over cap rate now. A fee, we're talking about cap rate is when you buy cash only, right? And basically, guys, the cap rate is take the 12 months of your net income. That's gross rental income minus vacancy, credit loss reserve, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, repairs, utilities, everything we just showed you. You take your 12 months net operating income and you divide it by the price you paid for the property. That's what Angel's going to do to find the cap rate. And we like a cap rate of what, 8 to 12%?
Yeah, anything above 10 is good.
So anything above 10?
8's not bad.
8's not horrible, but anything above 10 is really good, okay? That's the cap rate, okay? So that's when you buy cash. When you buy it, when you finance it, you want to go cash on cash formula. And that's your yearly cash flow. That's your yearly net cash flow divided by the cost of the property. Out of your pocket at closing, total. So closing costs, down money, instant repairs. This is the example I showed you guys. This is actual property of mine. It makes me 36.92% return on my investment. Okay, which is amazing. Flipping houses. Now, if he's going to get into this, what do we got next? Example of flip. Okay, we're almost done, guys. He's going to take care of the 2 flipping slides for me. And then I'm going to show you guys 4 books that I recommend you read. And then we're going to go into some answering questions. We should be done here. About 20 minutes.
Michelle has a question. Okay. What is the 75? So Michelle, in the city of Allentown, where we live, $75 is a rental registration fee you have to pay per year per unit you have. So if you have a 2 unit, it's $150.
Easton 65.
Bethlehem is 25. So it varies per city. Some cities don't have any.
I don't think Bethlehem charges me. They only charge you $25 for the business license fee, but not for the units.
Correct. Well, that's part of that.
Oh, okay.
Rental registration is.
Yeah. But there's no unit fees per unit.
For Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, but see, so Allentown has a $75 registration fee per unit. So for a 3 unit, they're charging me $225 a year.
Oh.
Yes.
So check with your city.
Yeah.
They'll send you papers when you purchase a home. They'll tell you what it is.
So Easton's charging me $65 per unit. So for 10 units, I'm paying $650 a year. Allentown's charging me $75. The crazy thing is Allentown just changed our laws. If I bought a house from him in Allentown and he paid it for the year, it was good. But now they're double dipping. They're making him pay it, the original owner, and then even if I buy it in November, they'll make me pay the $75, even if it's just for 2 months, which is crazy. Okay. So Bethlehem doesn't have that, but every area is going to have a business license fee, which is you to do business in there, which is like $25, $35. So let's talk about flipping, man.
So flipping, this is my area of expertise. Why? Because 3 years ago, when I got into real estate, because my dad pushed me to get into real estate. Why? Because I recently gotten in some trouble, lost my driver's license, and couldn't drive for 6 months. So dad's like, okay, now you're going to work with me. So get your real estate license and let's buy our first flip. And I'm so glad that happened because that changed my life. Flipping houses actually bought me 5 paid off homes, 5 rental properties that I basically used all my flipping and turned it over into buying all of them cash, which is George is so against.
No, I'm okay with that.
It's just another strategy that I use. And this is, I don't know if it's a Syrian thing. And George brought that up for me today. He's like, I don't know why you Syrian people love paying cash for things. It's just something we grew up with, and that's how we do it. And I've been successful doing it.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for flips, I couldn't have 5 paid off rental properties, netting me $600 to $700 cash flow per unit. So for flipping, here's what you need to do to get started. First, you need to find the deal. How do you find the deal? If you see a for sale by owner, give them a call. If you have a real estate agent, you could also have them always be on the lookout on like auction website. And you can also go on your auction website. So some websites are, popular ones are auction.com. So I'll write them up here, auction.com. You have hubzoo.com. And then you have Zone. So here are the 3 auction websites. You can go on these. I go on these about 5 to 6 times a day. And I search Lehigh County, Northampton County, and that covers everything that I'm interested in and my guys are interested in. So, and also Warren County, because I do a little bit of New Jersey as well. So finding the deal is very important. So auction and then MLS. So you have your real estate agent send you deals automatically straight to your email. Once you see something you like, or the agent you hired sees something you like, they'll schedule a showing. These homes are usually vacant, so it's so easy to look at the house. I might schedule 10 homes in the same day, and we can go at random times. And then if you are not a contractor or don't know anything about, let's say, fixing up homes, you could bring the contractor with you and give you an estimate. After you do that, and then you sit with your realtor, do the numbers, and you put an offer in, gets accepted, you purchase the home, and then you start work immediately. We've always done that. Actually, before we even close, sometimes I go with my dad and we take measurements for windows. Let's say we want to change all the windows. We take measurements for windows. We take measurements for the kitchen, because those are the 2 things that take a long time to bring in, about a week or 2. And we pre-order them a week prior to closing. That way, when we close, windows are like 2 days away. And we can start right away. We save time. Why? Because time is money. Our usual flip, which is so hard to do, is around 32, 33, 34 days. We're talking about from top to bottom, roof, window siding, all flooring, drywall, paint, all new kitchens, all new bathrooms, finished basement, etc. Finished like heating, plumbing, electric, and all that. So you want to get started immediately. You don't want to waste any time. And also, if you are buying right now, you want to fix and flip right away. Why? Because the market is so hot right now. You'll get top dollar for it. During your renovations, you want to obtain proper permits and CO. You don't want to do anything, I don't know, ghetto or out of the law. You want to make sure you get proper permits, because you are flipping. So when another agent brings a potential buyer, they're going to know to look for permits. They're going to know you bought this property to make money. So they're going to know to go out and ask the city and ask whoever the city is, did this guy get permits? Does he have a clear CO? What did he do? Looks like he did electrical work. Did he pull permits for that? Then you get a buyer. When you get a buyer, about 3 weeks prior to closing on that house, you want to prepare to purchase your next flip. Why? Again, time is money. So you kind of want to set yourself up for success in flipping. And flipping is a great way to get started in the beginning if you have cash, and if not, we talk about a lot of the ways you can get cash. You want to relist on the market with good marketing strategies. So again, hire a good agent that's been doing this for a long time and ask them, like, how much is my home worth? And ask for those comps. Don't just ask open-ended questions, like, actually send me comps and show me what my home's worth, and show me why I should hire you, and show me how you're going to market my house, like, other than listing it on the MLS. I just sold a house last week on Facebook, and that's amazing. I posted it at 10 p.m. Heidi Vega just emailed or commented or messaged me. She wanted to show it like midnight. So I was like, no, relax. Let's show it 8 in the morning. And it was sold prior to even me listing it on the MLS. So you want to sell quick and low versus later. What does that mean? So say you bought a house and you have it listed for 200K, and the first 2 days you get an offer for like 185, and you're making like 60 grand profit. My opinion is take it and run, because here's what's going to happen. I had a guy in Jersey wanted to list his home. So I said, your home's worth about 650,000. So he's like, no, I want 750 out of it. I was like, that's not a good idea. And I explained to him why. So he's like, no, let's list it for 750. So we did. And we kept chasing the market. And every 2 months or so, I would reduce it by 50 grand. So about 7 to 10 months later, we're down to 550 and the home hasn't sold yet. Where in the beginning, if he would have listed at 650 and sold it real quick, he would have been better off. So listing high is not usually a good thing. So you want to list right at price or right under, especially if your profit margin is high and you want to sell quick. So that first offer you get, like let's say at 185, I recommend taking it and run. You don't want to wait and say, what if I get more? What if I get more? You get what I mean? So, and then you got to keep it moving. You got to flip money. So you don't want to hold homes forever. I have a house right now in New Jersey. I'm having a hard time to sell. It's in a weird neighborhood, and the investor is kind of like getting irritated. So he bought it for 100 grand, for example, and we relisted at 300. And we haven't gotten a bite. So now we're reducing it to about 230. He telling me, just sell it. I want to get rid of it. I don't care if I break even. Because now you're holding $100,000 of my cash. I could have bought 3 homes and flipped 3 homes by the time this house has been on the market. So let's take a look at an example of flipping homes. Who do you recommend we get Windows from? Windows as the computer operating system, or?
For me, prior to having my contractors, believe it or not, Home Depot had the best rates. I was shocked. They had really good low cost like windows for rentals, but there are places like near me that for $120 you can get a window, like surplus stores. Like there used to be a place called Miller's, but there's a surplus place down on like American Parkway.
That's my guy, Will.
Yeah, Will. So there's always like, you can always find like a surplus place, and then my guys charge like $100 to put them in. So if you have a good contractor, they should have a connection. Like, you know, most of my contractors have a connection with a place that has a surplus. So here's an example of a flip.
Perfect example of a flip. I'll go through this slide, and then I'll talk about some generals. Home for sale for $99.9. You go out, look at it. You ask a realtor to say, hey, what is it worth in today's market? He says about 180. So you go ahead and put a full price, you get accepted. And before you obviously put a full price offer, you estimate how much is it gonna take to fix. So in this example, $99.9 took $35,000 to fix. Total cost with renovations out the door, $140,000. You listed it on the market for $180, and then you get a profit of $29,000. That's 180 minus your 1% of transfer tax and 6% realtor commission fees, et cetera, et cetera. You get a profit of $29,000. There are other homes on the market that are worth $200,000 that are listed for 50, and don't let that mislead you. If a home is worth $200,000 listed for 50 grand, you go out and look at it, especially in today's market, you're not going to get it for 50. You're probably going to have to compete with 30 other people, and you're probably going to have to pay over asking price. And that's normal, especially in today's market. It's so hot here in the Northeast. It's normal to put $70K on a $50K property. Another example we did recently, we bought a home for $113,000 or $114,000, and after repairs, it was worth about $275, and it only needed like $20,000 in repairs. So it was an easy 6-figure profit for us. We went ahead and did it. Buyer brought inspection, and guess what he found out? It needs a whole new septic system. So my dad had to write off a $26,000 more, $26,000 check more than expected. We still made out on the home because our profit margin was so big. So you want to be careful. If you are careful doing this, you'll make easily 6 figures a year on the side doing flips. And also, like I said, if you do like a flip or 2 a year and you make 30 to 60K each, you're looking at between $30,000 to $120,000 in profit. And then you could use that money to buy rentals or put a $30,000 down on a 3-unit like GK wants to do. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit about flipping. You want to add anything?
Question there for you. That's a good question. It's a realtor question.
Is 6% considered too high for a realtor? Here's my take about commission. I see value in myself and what I give my clients. So I've had a listing once at 9%. When sellers want to sell and they ask for that, they ask for commission, like that's the first question they ask for. I could already tell they're eager, like they want to like just sell and stuff. So I build rapport with them and I explain to them why I charge 6%, not just, hey, I charge 6% and I'll list your home and blah, blah, blah. No, I actually build rapport and I explain to them, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend money on, let's say, photos, or I'm going to do professional videography, like through drone footage. I'm going to actually pay for Zillow leads to view your listings and such and such. The average in the US is 6%. And that's what I go for. I go for 6%. Commission is always negotiable. So people charge 7, people charge 5. I charge family members 5. If I were to list a home for GK, I would charge them 5%. If I were to list a home for GK for 5% and I get the buyer, that means I'm keeping all 5. I could put an addendum in our contract. Hey, if I get the buyer, I'll cut it down to 3.5 or 4. And he's cool with that. So I always build my rapport with my clients. And once they see value in me, they tell me, do whatever the heck you want, just sell my house. That property I just sold on Fullerton Avenue, the guy didn't even ask me what your commission is. So how quickly can you sell my house? I said, listen, if you do the proper repairs and you do a nice granite and all this stuff, stainless steel appliances, and get the fridge, the stove, the microwave, dishwasher, we could probably sell it within 2 weeks. Because like, if you could sell it within 2 weeks, I'll be more than happy. I actually sold it in a day. And this guy's taking me to Vegas, and I believe in July. He's going to take me to Vegas for about 2 days. And he's very excited. He got 10K more than what he wanted. So to him, it wasn't about the 6%. And that's the whole idea.
Nice. So that's a little bit about flipping there. What was I going to say here? Okay, guys. So let me show you guys, before we answer, get questions and answers, to the 4 books that I recommend. Out of these 2, Buy It, Rent It, Profit was definitely more of my favorite, but they were both really, I've read a lot of real estate books. These are 2 of my favorites. So maybe take a picture of that, or it's amazing how much clearer it is on your screen than mine. HD, baby. Oh, that's what it is. All right, so there's those 2 books there. And then there's 2 more that I really like. One's a real estate book and one's a management book. Okay, so the Bigger Pockets one's also one of my favorites. I probably talked about the BRRR in that book, and they also have one for managing properties. And Bigger Pockets is probably the best podcast for real estate, in my opinion. YouTube, if you YouTube Bigger Pockets, they have some really, really great YouTube videos. Okay, now with that being said, that gives us to our conclusion of the segment, the whole segment. And what I'm going to do now is I will open it up to questions. So at this point, you can either text a question, or you can unmute yourself. Actually, I don't think you can unmute yourself. Let me see here. Let me see if I can fix that. Oh, the first 2, give me a second. Let me go back. There you go. So I want to take a screenshot of that, a photo, whatever you want to do. Let me see here. What was I going to do? Oh, yeah. Let me see if I can figure out how to I'm not sure how I can unmute people now. Let me see here. I guess you guys are going to have to probably text me questions, because I know I had. Let me see. Oh, actually, you know what? Oops. You want to do that? Let me see here. Give me a second. All right. So if somebody has a question, I can unmute you. Okay, I can unmute you guys if you have a question. Here we go. Unmute. Oh. You all. And then, yeah, so now you can unmute yourself, okay? If you have a question, please unmute yourself, and we'll answer that question. Now, I've been recording this entire thing. It's almost 3 hours long. I'm not really sure how long it's going to take to, I'm not sure if I have a code through this Zoom, which I might. And if I don't, I'm going to have to try to download this thing to YouTube. It's going to take some time. So my goal is to get this in the next week or 2 to a link that I will send each of you. I will probably send it to you through Facebook. If I don't see a response that you got it, like a lot of times everybody yesterday gave me a thumbs up. They got the code. 2 or 3 people didn't give me a thumbs up, and they obviously didn't check their Facebook. So, but it's going to be something you can review. Okay. All right. Somebody's asking a question? That was you. All right. So if you have any questions, just unmute yourself and ask away. If not, I want to just thank you guys for being on here. Honestly, I can't wait to hear what kind of success you have in your life with real estate. Obviously, Afif is here. He's a great source of income. Source of knowledge income. It's a great source of knowledge, and definitely want to reach out to him if you are in the Lehigh Valley looking for a property. If you are doing a private deal, you just maybe need somebody to help you with the paperwork. That's what he does. Okay, that's what he does all day long. So definitely, he just sold one of my best friends a house. She moved from Huntington, Pennsylvania to Slatington, and he just sold her a cash deal. So she closed like last week.
We had to go through some loops for her. We had to refinance her house. Yeah. So I had to set her up with my lender first. get that taken care of, all in the same time, find her a house, put an offer in. It was a whole, but we got it done.
Oh, here, I'll show you the other 2 books. You got these 2 books. It's okay. Then we got these 2 books. Now, I think Michelle had one of these already. She had to buy it, rent it, I think. And that comes in 2 different color copies, so it doesn't really matter. I think one's, maybe the blue one's updated, but there's like a white copy or like a different color. Let's say like yellow. It's like cream and white and red. So
I've actually learned a lot.
Yeah. Awesome. So Michelle is asking me a question. Like, she let's say she has $20K right now to spend. What should she do? And I said to her, like, maybe she's interested in, like, she said she was kind of interested in the real estate investing trust, maybe like being a lender, like lending it out and, going through that process. But if I had 25K, honestly, I would probably buy like a 2-unit. I use it as my down money for like a 2-unit. If I could find a 2-unit for like 100K, let's rent it out. That's what I would do. Maybe partnership with somebody for a flip. What do you think?
My recommendation is you got to ask yourself, what do you want out of it? Do you want quick cash or not? If you do, then you already know that you have to go to the flip side. If you don't and you're okay with cash flow, then do exactly what he said. Buy a 2-unit. And
you're okay with being the banker? Find somebody who you can work with?
Because me and GK were getting in that argument yesterday where he said cash flow is not the whole point of investing into rentals. The whole point is security 20 years down the line.
Yes.
Which I never looked at it that way. Now I do, because I had a conversation with him last night. So to me, it was about cash flow. The only
that's important to me too, but in the long run, really what's important is the wealth down the road, right?
She needs security. So there you go. Security. Well then, if you don't need immediate income, like crazy amount of immediate income, then I recommend buying a 2-unit and make sure you're doing your numbers prior to it.
So Raven has a good question. She's like, Raven's maybe like 20 years old. That's actually Roseanne Moreno's daughter. Roseanne's an ED in Texas.
Okay.
She's like, she's young, and she doesn't have any experience. What should she do? You definitely want to start saving up for whatever you're going to do, whether it's a down payment or a flip, because you're going to need that money. And that gives you time to make more income in your life. It gives you more time to get your credit better. Any advice to somebody that age? It's more your age group than mine.
Yeah, Raven, make friends that are real estate agents or investors and hang out with them and pick their brains, and you'll learn a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't want to get into, because if you do that, you're going to build confidence, and you don't want to get into it if you're not confident. I just had a client who she called me up. She's like, hey, I have 5 homes. I don't want to be a landlord no more. I was like, what are you going to do? She's like, I want to own my own nail business. I was like, sure. What do you want to do? Sell them? She's like, yeah. So she sold them all now. Now she has $400K cash.
Wow.
She's like, well, I can't find a business now. What do I do? I said, $400K cash. You're perfect to flip if you want to make quick cash, because she's working and she doesn't want to do rentals anymore. She's like, okay, find me a deal. So I found her a deal. She goes, all right, how much is it going to take to fix? Or what do we have to do? And I said, listen, I can help you out to a certain extent. I can't really give you an estimate. I'm not a contractor. She's like, well, this is hard. I don't know if I want to do this. So she's not confident about it because she doesn't have friends. Yeah. So I told her, find the crew, and that's all you have to worry about. So that's my recommendation.
So if I was you, I don't know what Texas, you're in Jersey, I think right now, but you could find a house in my neighborhood for $55K like I sold today. And literally with 8 to 10 grand down, you could be a real estate investor with your first property. So try to save up 10 grand and try to find a deal like that. And, I know you're from Texas and I think you're studying in Jersey, but the guy from Jersey, they bought a property in my area. So just keep that in mind. I have 2 separate mortgage companies decline me. Both told me to put in my name, and 3% down is still no go.
Paul, you mentioned 3.5%. That's
FHA.
That's FHA.
Yeah. That's for buying your own house, though.
Yeah, I don't think that's for investment. I think there's a question.
Is there other thoughts? Or?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There you go.
I was doing it for investment. They both knew it, but they told me to put in my own name with 3.5 down, and they still declined me, even with a co-signer. So that's
I would try a different lender. Who are the lenders?
Shauna was one, and then some guy from Jersey.
Shauna K.
Yeah.
No, she's near my office now.
I don't know, bro. I would give my banker a call, but what was the reason for the denial, though?
I think they said, what was the thing? I guess maybe the income to debt ratio or something.
Okay,
But
Yeah, your DTI has to be below. Every lender has a requirement.
yeah. So work on that. Work on your DTI, man. Get it below 40%.
yeah, but I don't have any debt except for my car payment.
And make more money.
Or show more money. Do you do a 9-to-5 job, like a W-2 job is what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I have my work job, yeah. So
W-2. So you're W-2, you can't really.
Yeah. Double your money, bro.
yeah.
So you're working on that. You're working on that.
Here's something I noticed. Here's something I learned from Gary Vee. If you don't know who Gary Vee is, YouTube.
He knows.
Gary Vee says, I see a lot of people living in 6-bedroom homes and only utilizing 3 of them. So they're not and they're getting declined, let's say, for mortgage for our next investment. And they're not understanding that they're just doing this to show off or to look cool or whatever. So instead of living in a 6-bedroom home, maybe you should downsize to a 3-bedroom home, utilize it all, and get rid of some of that debt, and then set yourself up for success. So maybe you want to reevaluate and see where you can minimize some expense. Like to me, I made a huge mistake in July of 2018 and put $50,000 in a car payment on my record. And now in November, I go to my loan, or I buy that multi-unit that I want to cash out on. I go to my loan officer. He looks at me and goes, your mortgage is $930 a month. Your car payment's $810. What are you doing? That doesn't look good. You have to get rid of your car payment. I was like, boom, that's what I had to do. And I did. I had cash saved up on the side. And then I took a home equity line out on my house for 20 years instead of a car loan for 6 years. So my monthly payment is a little bit lower. And I set myself up for success. So Paul, I recommend reviewing, do an Excel spreadsheet, put your income and your expense. And I have one personal for me. And see where you could save up on your expense, like lower it, and see where you can maximize your income.
Michelle asked, is it okay to start flipping and then go to rentals? Absolutely. Isn't that what you're doing?
Yeah, Michelle, do however you like. And I think that's the best way. GK got into rentals because of Stream, right?
Yes.
So GK was fortunate in that way. I was fortunate through flips. So you can go that way. And I think that way is the best.
Raven, good luck. If you need any help in Allentown, hit up a fee. We'll get you a good property out here and help you try to get funding and all that stuff.
I think there's another.
What happened?
I didn't do that. There's another question from Jay up top we missed.
Did we?
Yeah, I believe so. Here we go. So I'm in the beginning stages of buying a home. Will all this be helpful, or do I need to learn more? No, I think, Jay, we covered it all. I think we covered it all. And if you have any questions specifically, you could always reach out to us. Here we go.
The thing is, even no matter how much information you get, people are going to be scared.
You learn new things every time.
Longest time ever gone without finding a renter ever? 2 weeks, maybe.
Same. I can attest to that.
Yeah, 2 weeks. One more new one now. I'm going to have to say good night. The dog has reached his. Okay, well, good night. Talk to you soon. Thank you. I was expecting this to go about an hour and a half, but there's a lot of information. We really wanted to give you guys the most bang for your buck. So.
Oh no, I appreciate it. It's just Rocky's just a little rambunctious right now. Is going to drive me nuts. So.
No worries. No worries.
Thanks.
See you soon.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
My dog was knocked out.
I woke up for like a minute. It was like, and I'm like, sleep. Any other questions, guys? So far, everybody's been asking some good questions. JJ, man, go for it, bro. Don't procrastinate. Just go for it. You know, let's make some moves. It'll feel great. Me buying homes now and selling a house is like nothing. It's like brushing my teeth. It used to be where I used to have to be like, oh my god, I just bought a house. Oh my god. Now I'm like, oh, I just bought a house. It's like I went to the grocery store. It's like, it becomes like second nature, man. It's like so easy. It's all mental.
So the other day, George had an eviction. And I was like, can I go? And he was like, okay, cool. And now he wanted to have his second eviction. And he was like, do you want to go? I was like, sure. If I have time, I'll go to things. Even if it's not, there's no financial gain in it. You know, I go because of experience. You know, I could change locks on a door because of experience, because I see my dad do it. I could change a hot water tank because of experience. So experience sometimes, not sometimes, actually all the times, is very, very like valuable. So if you have time, hang out with somebody who does real estate. Hang out with somebody who does.
Now, when you go for your own eviction, you already been to 2.
Correct. So go with an eviction. Ask somebody, if your uncle, your brother, your cousin, your whoever, and they have an eviction, just, you know, tag along and see what it's about. You gain more confidence, you gain more experience, and I highly recommend that. I go see homes when I'm bored. I drive around and I go see homes. I literally go on my app because I'm a real estate agent, so I can get the code.
I was listening before we did this. Remember, before we did this, I went through 50 homes. I was looking to see if I could buy another one.
Yeah. So, and if you do this daily and develop this and put this in your DNA, you'll be successful.
Cool. Well, man, you'll get the SD one day, bro. You'll build the SD code. Money will be coming in. You'll be stacking it. Don't worry, it's gonna happen. So, I wish I was in Texas with you guys. Help you guys out there. You know, have some fun with this. But I just want to thank a lot of you for always being supportive too. Yeah, absolutely, man. Paul, we're here for you. But Michelle, JJ, Joyce, a lot of you that are on the call. Oh, you, Kendra.
We have 20 people.
You guys are always real supportive of what we're doing out here in PA, and you want to learn and follow. And I appreciate that, because I'm always trying to give value back to people, and not just one way. You know, there's multiple ways to be successful. So good. I'm glad you're on the right track. Just be patient. Make sure you're making the right decision. That's all. And make sure you feel it in your gut, and you'll be fine. So, anybody else have any questions on here before we call it a night? I'm just happy I remembered to record it.
I was afraid you kept saying, I want to record this. I want to record
Thanks,
this.
brother. Good luck, man. Let me know how it goes. Get that 2-unit. Either live in one and let it pay for your mortgage. And that way, here's the good thing. If you live in the one side, right, brother, you get to be a landlord, and the tenant's right next to you. You get to see ins and outs of how it is. You need to fix something, you're right there. I mean, it's a win-win for your first time.
For a 2-unit?
Yeah.
And you can pull FHA.
And you can pull FHA,
so 3.5% down.
Yes. William Kiefer, man, good seeing you on here, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys. I hope I see some of you guys in Ignition. I'm pumped. We're going to be there in 10 days. Or not even. No, 14 days. 14 days today. Today will be the, right now, 2 weeks from now, I'll be at the SD dinner. Raven, will I see you at Ignition? No? Oh, I'm disappointed now. So, all right, Michelle will be there. So we'll see Michelle at Ignition. I'm sure William Kiefer will be there. I think JJ will probably be there. Paul's going to be there.
I'm taking them private. Freaking. I told you about it.
Nice. Can't wait, guys.
It's going to be crazy.
So I want to say I appreciate all of you. Keep up the good work. Keep trying to be in a positive environment with positive people. 8 years ago, guys, I was completely broke. I mean, literally, I was broke. I was driving a 97 pickup truck. I'm with my mom. I was waiting to go to court for trial. And today, look what I got, and it's just because I believed in it and I took a chance. And, it hasn't been easy, but we can conquer anything as human beings. There's nothing, I don't have any special skills. You guys are just as powerful as I am. It's just putting your mind in that direction. Not really important about where you are today. It's what direction you're going into, and that's really the important thing. So I'm rooting for all of you. So have a great night. If you have any more questions, you can text me or Afif, and we'll see you guys hopefully soon. So yeah, that's it. Hey, information changes situations, guys. We're going to call it a wrap, and we'll talk to you guys soon.